Okay, welcome everyone to Westside Smackdown number 3. I am your host and commentator, Eli the Curry. Mia, both of them. She's sitting right next to me. We're a little jumbled up, sorry.
Is this Chrome or what is this?
This is currently Chrome, what you're looking at.
Oh, Chrome means the thing. That's okay. It's fine, I'll switch to this once we start the tournament.
Okay. Just refresh that thing.
No, we're good.
But yeah, just getting everything. We're getting everything situated. Be ready to start in about at 7 o'clock on time. So that is in keeping. Got some really nice players in the bracket today. So as always, you can look forward to that. Chris ECH, Wolfgang in attendance, Scythe, and Davio here as well. So, you know, it's a weekly. Hopefully you see some of the same faces or the same players that you see on a week-to-week basis with the mouse on the side.
On the side?
Yeah, so move it so that the mouse is on the right side of the screen. No, the right border. Let me show you. You take it so that the mouse is what lines up, and that creates that window.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. There we go.
Hey Zocho, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate y'all here on the Smackdown before Christmas. So now we had a few people who are not able to play.
So Sam.
That's why I say refresh.
No, I'm just saying who hasn't checked in. So Doc has, Tonic Miner has, Wolfgang has, Weston has, and Davio has, Chris hasn't, Sam hasn't, Kirk has, Froggy has. Alright, so it's only two. Only two haven't checked in.
We're doing all right, still chill. A little tired, but nothing to complain about. Excited, actually excited. I'm happy to be running this, so we're doing a good job. This was 3. We did it, you know. We haven't bailed out.
Third time's the charm. All right, now we're done. Bye.
No.
And we're gone. And it.
No, not even breathing that into the air.
Alright, sorry. Might be.
Plan to do this for a really long time. So we're gonna keep doing it. Today is another tournament. And then
Alright, we might not have Sam. They're not even online in Discord. I know Chris is probably there. Chris is probably even just streaming.
Yeah, we don't know.
I don't know, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. They might or sign in and smash GG.
They got 5 minutes, and then if not, they get DQ'd. And then
they're fine. I'm just saying NC.
You're
not early. You're late. You're not.
Yeah, you worrying too much.
You're late.
So this is what you have to remember. You are a TO. If they're not there on time, then you DQ them.
Yeah, that's true.
And then if they show up and they're like, "Why am I DQ'd?" You're like, "Because you weren't here on time," and then you move on. If they don't understand that, then I don't understand how somebody. I don't know. They will understand it.
They will.
You weren't on time. You got
They
DQ'd.
must understand.
Wait,
it.
what time was I supposed to be here? Tournament starts at 7. At 7:10, you hadn't checked into your match, so you got DQ'd. Or whatever the DQ timer is at. So that's how that works. You don't have to be antsy about it.
True. Wait, I want to do this. And then turn it up here.
Speaking of it, I need to make side lounges.
Oh, yeah. You're a Laura player. If they don't understand, at least they'll be intimidated. People hate Laura that much that it bleeds over into real life. That I'm like one of the least intimidating people.
People do hate Laura, or at least they're intimidated by it.
Right? Eli, am I intimidating?
To me?
To anybody?
Yes.
I am?
Yes.
What are you doing?
Just checking to see who's got a favorite. Hey, Davio got made it to master.
Good job, then, Dog. Oh yeah, they were Ultra Diamond.
Yeah,
Congrats.
they finally pushed through. Been a while coming. Alright, cool.
Cool beans.
Beta Lounge, first to 2. On.
Do we need all those number of slots? I hate when there's like, excess slots.
Do you really hate it?
It's like tabs. Kind of.
How?
I don't know.
It's liminals. Me and you in this thing with liminal space. Like, you.
Yeah, I know. I like it.
Right.
I don't know. Alright, that's good. That's good. 4 is good. 8 is too much. 4 is okay.
It's
4 is
actually
okay.
should be 5 because.
Why 5?
Because then if players are there ready for the next set, then they can get in early. Both of them.
Okay.
If you put them on deck in the Discord and then they're ready, then they can just slide right on in. And then everybody's in. We don't have to wait for anybody to get bounced out.
Okay.
That logic is undeniable. You can't argue that.
Okay.
But yeah.
Fine.
I don't know why it freaks out if there are more things that say private slots.
I don't like it.
Also talking to me about tabs. What are you opening up all these tabs for? Actually, we need to start the bracket.
I don't know how.
Hey, what are we doing? What do we do?
No, go to the thing, the bracket. No. That's the Metrino.
Okay.
That's the click on the bracket. How are you doing, Basuki?
Yo, what's up, Basuki? How's it going? Alright, boom. Alright, one last look at this. Hope I didn't mess anything up. Alright, start bracket.
Alright.
Okay.
Oh.
And then you said this one too, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If they're here.
Well, yeah, it might not go. And then here.
Mm-hmm.
And here.
Mm-hmm.
So starting out tonight, it's what is it? 12 or so players, I think. I think 12 in the bracket. Tonight, 11, not 12. So we should be able to run through this fairly quickly. All things considered, we're not doing first to 3 until losers semifinals as usual. So top 8 won't drag on very much. But our stream matches, the first one we're gonna have is gonna be Salazar versus Tonic Miner, and then if possible we're gonna have Sam. I don't know. Sam
Shuye.
Is it Shu?
Shuye? I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, Sam Shuye. Oh, that's what that's the Discord says. Shuye. So we'll go with Sam Shuye versus Kurg.
Or Sam Shu. I don't know.
As our second stream match. And then we have a couple of more in Winners Quarters that I'm excited to watch. Just a couple of sets that I think have a real potential to be some dingers. But yeah, should be a decently paced night as far as matches goes. The stream should not be over long.
You wanna howdy, howdy, howdy. Okay. So I think they're both here.
Both in,
yeah. Do you wanna just start?
Yeah. I mean, it's
All right.
7:02, so
Alright.
we're technically behind. So.
All right, let's do it.
Gotta get
Oh, I was bad. I did click it back. I thought. Did I miss?
Well, you didn't, but we just have to get set up. First 2, yeah. Oh, that's right.
Should I do Salazar? Or it's well, Salazar is a smash. There's start GG thing, so.
So up first, we're gonna have Salazar versus Tonic Miner. This is gonna be Laura versus Seth. So, depending on how clean execution is, either way, this could end incredibly quickly. These rounds are not Laura Seth rounds are not made to drag on. They are meant to move with alacrity. So, we'll see how that goes. We'll see how it plays out between these two if they can negotiate that. I think it's actually a pretty interesting matchup. Seth has a couple of good options to go through Laura's Thunderclaps, which is normally kind of a sign of a bad matchup for Laura, but those options can be kind of high risk. And Seth has very low vitality, so anytime Seth is taking a risk, especially in this matchup, the whole round is in play. You can see right now, oh, Tonic had a really good combo, but unfortunately had to drop on the forward heavy punch. We'll get the V-trigger set up here. Doesn't pull back the ball in order to bait out that V-reversal. That's unfortunate because that is unsafe. You're not allowed to V-reversal that V-trigger as long as the Seth sets up the ball to ricochet back to where you're going to be. Nice job there by Salazar. Laura's Thunderclap is extremely vulnerable to low-profile moves, and Laura's own crouch medium kick is extremely good at low-profile in that Thunderclap. So anytime Seth does get V-skill 1, it's actually not good in this matchup because Laura goes under her own Thunderclap so easily that she doesn't really care whether or not you're trying to do it or not. It's very hard to actually set up a real Thunderclap frame trap against Laura. Actually, to be honest with you, the Tandon engine itself, the move is better in this matchup than the Thunderclap is. So if you are a Seth player in this matchup, I actually recommend now that they made it +4, right? +4, or they make it +3. V-skill 1 when it hits for Seth.
+4. You can get a stand light kick.
Yeah, I actually recommend just taking the jab combo you get off of a successful thing instead of actually taking the move. Because that move, as you can see, often gets you into more trouble than it's worth. Salazar is up huge right now. But we do have an activation. Oh, that's an early reversal. Yeah, I don't even know if that, oh my god, if that had popped back into it. Buffering here is going to need a big start here. A V-shift call out would have been right in line with that, but unfortunately doesn't have it. Does get the V-skill 1, and this does give you some knockdown. You do get a little bit of pressure off of that, so you can take advantage. Ooh. The life deficit being what it is. Tonic Miner didn't want to cancel into that critical art, perhaps feeling like it wouldn't have been worth it to lose all that meter, but unfortunately didn't get a chance to get anything else started. And then, you know, trying to take advantage after, trying to take initiative when you're -2. Sometimes it works, most times it won't. Actually, I shouldn't say most times it won't. Sometimes it will, and then sometimes it won't. But a lot of times it won't. It's one of those things, whenever you give somebody, like, you can't tell the difference between somebody who's just mashing and hitting buttons and somebody who knows the frame data at that situation like that. So you're really, percentage-wise, you're not good. Not in a good situation because bad players are challenging you at the exact same time as good players. So you're not getting any information. Nice anti-air there by Salazar, but that DP was critical. A bad guess there ends the round. Ooh. That's a Street Fighter 6 throw attack, you get that punish. But Street Fighter 5, they're a little bit too fast for that. There's Salazar. Back into it. I lost a lot of life. Respected the bust out. Tonic Miner gonna be shit. Has a really good corner situation and a great whiff punish. We saw that last week from Tonic Miners in the Hidden Gems. They were landing some really nice whiff punishes, and then the throw bait with the axe kick setup. Keep that nice and low to the ground. You are not going to be unsafe on block, so good option there from Tonic.
Well, depending on what character you are. I think Abigail, it might still be no matter what. Unsave me.
He's big boy. Oh no, that did not combo. A little bit of reset. Reset damage with the Tonic Miner. It's all working out. It's one of those rounds. No stun here. Oh, missed the DP input. Or no, was it a frame kill? You know what, Tonic? If that's a frame kill, that's godlike. Otherwise, we just call it good adaptation. Plus frames off the heavy kick Tatsu into the throw. Tonic Miner just like that. I told y'all these rounds are not meant to last. We could have made this set in particular our first to 5 and it would still go at the same speed as a regular first to 2 because Seth and Laura just don't fight for very long. Street Fighter 6 spectator mode will expose the mashers. I'm not leaving that on. It's too cluttered. But it is funny that they show you the inputs in live time. Alright. Tonic Miner is able to get away from the command grab. Setting up with some medium kick in the Tatsu pressure. The quintessentials. Salazar with a risky jump in. Tonic Miner trying to answer back, but it's really hard to jump against Laura. She's got really great anti-air options. The stand medium punch. The heavy bolt. And then the B skill to get away from awkward jumps. As you can see, she's so good at when you're in the air against her. See right here, the overhead is blocked and then the reversal. So Salazar blocks it out, then gets a jump in, converts the combo, meterless kill.
Yeah, it was good confirmation to go for the target combo.
Yeah, now that'll put Salazar on match point. Tonic Miner once again looking for those medium buttons. Nice anti-air DP, really good job there. A little late. Oh, speaking of timing, Salazar gets caught with the autopilot shimmy. Mira and I actually, and that's why I call it the autopilot shimmy because that's what we say to ourselves.
I autopilot. I'm like, fuck, god damn it, I got caught.
That's not me and Salazar. That is my term for myself when that happens to me. It's not looking for whether or not they
it's
attack.
the Laura. That's the Laura auto shimmy.
Now Tonic Miner in great positioning here. Has the corner. Again, harassing with that. And this should be the round. Cancels into the super, and you know what? I respect it.
They could have done EXCP though.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think they could have gotten out of this round with 2 bars instead of 0, but you gotta get out of this round in order to have a chance. So
that's
better
true. It's guaranteed.
Better to guarantee it than to risk everything. It's an optimization that may be minor or maybe major depending on your situation. But Tonic Miner makes it into the final round. And you can see Salazar with a huge meter difference. And if Salazar gets any offense going, that could be huge. But Tonic Miner is doing a great job right now, keeping things about the post. Gets some pressure, but misses the DP. And now Salazar is in. That's a crush count on the V-shift recovery, but no confirmation. Too far away. Anti-air medium punches there again. Salazar has Tonic Miner on stuns. Death door. V-shift in the button. Right back at you. Tonic Miner trying to get out. Gets caught through.
They didn't heavy bolt.
Salazar once again on the V reversal, but the ball's right there.
Does that make it plus?
I don't think it. No, I don't think it
was
did.
That
I think it was like -5 or something like that.
Okay.
We'll go back and check that. I will let y'all know exactly what that was on block, but I don't think it was.
Alright, you take the throw here every time. No,
no!
Every time you take the throw! Every time!
And that is why you take the throw! Oh, what?
Oh, no.
Nice composure there from Tonic Miner to run the slow-paced offense, didn't rush things, went for the home run shimmy.
I don't know why it has text now up there.
And got it. Oh, that's one of the sponsors, but it should be right in the middle of the screen. That's not good.
Yeah, I don't know why that's there.
Well, it is one of it's one of our Matcherino codes. We have the quests, so you can actually complete the quests. And
oh, I know how to do it. There we go.
Just banish it to the...
We'll just banish it away.
Well, if you complete the quest, then that money goes into the pot, and 100% of the money in the pot goes to our players. Winner take all. And
winner
so
take
the pot
all
gets to $50, and then over 50, but less than 150 goes to the top 2 players, and then over 150 goes to the top 3. And then I don't know what threshold we haven't really looked at that threshold above that yet. That's a little bit of a scary
Tonic Miner, okay.
Yeah, 2-1 over Salazar. A really good set. That's one of those sets. If that had happened off stream, you can best believe that would have been a clip on Hidden Gems. But hey, we got it here. We got it live. So we appreciate that. Sanzuye is not present, unfortunately. They were DQ'd, so we will be missing that match. So we're going to move on to winners quarterfinals. Like I said, not going to be a long stream today. This bracket is not going to take very long to run, which is good. It means we should be able to get the matches pretty quickly. we are going to get West Dance and Indabio into the ring. So Alex versus whoever Indabio is choosing to play.
Can you start the round? How do I start the next round?
Go to edit round settings. Scroll up. No, let me take the mouse.
Yeah, you do it. I don't want to fuck anything.
Okay. If you want to do that, then we can just set it. We can just manually set the timers till now, I guess.
Yeah. Because everyone's almost ready. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Like that. It should allow them to start playing.
Yeah, because everyone's there.
Okay. Alright. Give us just a second, you two, and then we're gonna get y'all ready to play. We just have to make sure that the smash or the start GG is not being weird and not letting people play. That I know y'all hate that, and I hate that when
I hate that too.
Let you play.
No, I hate it when check-in available shortly, so it should be fine.
Should be starting soon, yeah. Check down the losers to make sure those. We have to change those timers. Or actually, no, we don't. No, because it's already past 7:10. So as soon as the matches are available to be played, it's going to allow the losers round 1 matches to get played.
Okay.
I'm still working on. There's like a sweet spot because if I set the timers too quickly, then everybody gets DQ'd before they can reasonably finish their sets. I think it's weird that way. But if you set them too far out in advance, then the matches don't activate because you can't just manually like start rounds. You know what I mean? But it looks like Indabio is going to be going with Luke. Last week there was a lot of kin from Indabio, but not this week. Or at least not in winners. They're going with the tried and true protagonist of Street Fighter 6.
Round 1.
Luke Sullivan going up against Alex, no last name. Although it would be funny if Alex's last name, Alex the Street Fighter character's last name was Myers. Anyway, playing neutral. Saturn bars, utilizing the crouch medium punch. A lot of long pokes from Alex. And last week he saw Saturn bars take a couple of rounds on stream, a couple of games actually, the sets with that crouch medium kick in the clutch. So that's a button they love to represent. And Davia, you can see, trying to use those fireballs and those quick pokes to try to stuff it out before it can get to you. But this is really the game Alex loves to play. A slow, methodical, poke-based matchup kind of fits Alex's buttons. Whereas with Luke, it's all about ignition. You want to find that low forward, that whiff punish, or that stand medium punch with punish, or stand jab, or stand heavy punch, or forward heavy punch. Whatever button you land with Luke, basically, to cancel into one of those flash knuckles and get his really oppressive game started. You see, and Indabio lands that back medium punch, got the target combo, and is now forcing Saturn bars back. You see the space getting chewed up, and the combos there off of the counter hits. Again, that's a third counter hit combo there for Indabio. Another one, and that one will cause a stun that'll close out the round. And it's all about that starting point for Luke. That's really what makes, yeah, we need to change the scoreboard.
Oh, shit.
That's really what makes Luke so oppressive. It's about how quickly his offense starts and how strong his offense is. From almost anywhere on screen, and from damn near any starter, Luke really just turns the round into a sequence, an offensive sequence. And it's one of those things that is really overwhelming in the hands of a master. And you see Indabio with really good confirms there. And that's going to juggle for some reason, so you get the full combo even if you try to backdash or jump out. Oh, the V-reversal there actually saves Saturn bars, but it doesn't matter. Indabio will take game number 1. Very strong stuff there from Indabio. Really good usage of Luke's kit, actually. Saw the confirmation there off of the V-Skill 2 into the EX Fireball. And that's a plus on block, so you don't care if they get hit, but to confirm that they're in the air after the EX Fireball and get the DP was very well done by them, as well as the hit confirm off of the crouch medium kick. And Indabio is one of those players that we have seen, Mia and I have, over the course of being in the West Coast, really seen them grow as a player. Originally playing Sagat, now moving on to top tier pastures and really putting in the work to play the game better.
Suppressor. Good choice.
Definitely a good choice of character. Oh, that could have been a combo, and Indabio misses the jab there. Missed the jab there. So
-8 into DP.
No confirm, but the beast. Oh, it's real trigger happy.
Real Rago hours.
Saturn bar scales the combo up decently well here, and that's a good reset. But the mash out from Indabio
I was about to say another one and it would have worked. It would actually anti-air the. Oh!
Whoa, it was too short.
Yeah.
Confirmed there. So Sadabars has another chance, but the counter hits again, racking up for Ndabio. Plus frames. The jab whiffs? That pushback was that far? That was mad weird, yo. That stand jab actually whiffed over Luke's hurt box. I was not expecting that, but that's very unfortunate. Oh, almost got the perfect confirm for Ndabio. You love to get stand heavy punch into medium punch flash knuckle level 2. Just missed the timing on that, but did get the cross cut, and so the life lead is very strong for Ndabio here. Saturn bars poking away again. EX head smash lands. Stun is going to dissipate to a fair amount here for Ndabio. It's no longer in extreme danger, but it's very close to the corner, so has to make their way out now. That V reversal does a great job eliminating the plus frames from the fireball. Saturn bars keeping the corner. Patience. Both parts. Luke's B trigger not going away. Oh, but it will go away with that crush counter because we are going to the next round. Saturn bars looking strong there. Trying to tie this up one game apiece. And Ndabio is on match point. And is at 2.5 bars. So this is a round that could be over.
Oh, that was such a sick whip punish.
This is a round that could be over real quick if Luke finds
that
one
should
of
have been in the
buttons.
corner.
EX stomp is blocked. Stand fear is such a great anti-air. Oh, no cancel on that stand medium punch for Saturn bars, and that's going to allow Ndabio to stay on the feet. EX fireball trades out, and that creates vital space. Ndabio with the anti-air. Lined up for it. V-trigger activation, +1. Don't touch a button. Well done by Saturn bars, but doesn't block the overhead, and now the pressure's there. No confirm, however, on that medium punch.
No, that's...
that activation might be the end of things. Anti-air, no super, doesn't matter though. You
super,
get the,
super.
Whoa, okay. It all worked out. It worked out, but that got a little frisky. And Ndabio had it there after the anti-air DP. You get the super there, and you win. Otherwise, you just need a block string to cancel into the critical art for the chip. You do have to respect Alex's bust out critical art there, because if you try to meaty Alex and Alex goes for the critical art, then you, I don't know if you lose that game, but you definitely get hit. All the same, Ndabio didn't necessarily need it. It all worked out a little bit.
Silent kick.
So they will be moving on into the bracket. We will be moving on with another name change. I like Raging Cajun. Raging Cajun was easy for me to say on the YouTube things.
Raging Cajun.
And then who you said they're up against
Scythe.
Scythe? Okay. I know that I thought a friend requested Scythe. I did not. Oh, I did, but they're not online.
Yeah.
I'll send an invite. Maybe it, I don't know. Hopefully they're still here.
Yeah. Right? I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, they're typing. Alright, so we're gonna wait for Scythe to get their PC restarted and then send them on. Hopefully no issues. We won't have connection issues like we had last week. This Luke character seems kind of strong. Hope they bring him back for future games. Me too. I like Luke. And I think Luke is designed, I think Luke is based on a good design archetype. Like, people can say what they want about, you know, the way the character is designed, and you can certainly complain about how strong he is in 5 because it is hilarious. But it makes sense for marketing purposes to make the protagonist of your fighting game look like one of the more famous like combat sports entertainers in the world, and that's just what the Paul brothers are right now. So
it's snowing over here. That's a lie.
They could be on a mountain.
That's true. And I was like, but in 818, like I don't think it's snowing in 818 right now. Unless there's some pocket, you know, like.
I don't know.
Yeah, let's see.
Probably not. I'm gonna grab some more water.
More water is good. Thank you. Alright, while we wait, and we wait, and we wait. Alright, they're here. Cool. Or, well, they're online now. So that's good. Good news. Alright. Wait, G?
That's a much better choice for a...
It's a better character.
To try to run through a bracket. I'll tell you that. If the job is to win a bracket, G is a much better choice than Gil. For now, at least.
For now and forever for me. Like Eli, like
I will stand alone in my assessment.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me. I'm comfortable standing by myself. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I think when all is said and done 10 years from now, Gil will be looked at as one of the best characters in the game.
We'll see.
But then I saw that clip when the fireball didn't do anything, even though it was EX knee drop, and I'm like, EX knee drop not creating a juggle point for any other special move is...
Oh shit, I haven't even been looking at this.
Yeah, we can see it in the stream though.
I can't see shit over here, Eli.
Oh, well, we can see on your
Thank you for people that are doing some of the thingies.
Yeah, appreciate all y'all who have done the quest, who have given up the quest, or completed a quest.
Thank you for,
putting a little bit of other people's money in the pot. That's really nice of y'all. Appreciate it.
it.
Alright, so we go.
Round one. Fight.
Gay. GY. Whatever we're supposed to call him. Claw man. K5?
K5. Silent K. I like Silent K. Like, it's like Special K.
Silent K
like
is
Silent
good,
K. Yeah, Silent K. Yeah.
Going up with the claw, up against Sice Guild. I tell you what, this is definitely not your standard top tier matchup between these two characters, but they each represent some very dangerous threats. Claw with that stand medium punch that just dominates basically almost every matchup in the game. There are a couple of characters that can really compete with it, but most of the cats kind of can't. And then Gil with just options. When you're ready, like right there, Scythe had the chance. If it's a back heavy kick there, or if it's crouch heavy punch on time, Gil is delivering 1-in-1 anti-air damage. Nobody else is really getting the amount of value off of anti-air that Gil gets in this game. But you have to be on point. So that will be the challenge for Scythe. What a reaction there from Silent K. The instant air V-Trigger 1 to punish the fireball. Looked really good. Did we change the scoreboard?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
I'm on it sometimes.
See right there, Scythe trying to fight back with Gil stand medium punch, which is not bad by any means, but it is far away from Vega stand medium punch. And you see how strong the anti-air game's been like that since season 1 for Vega, or the projectile game, I should say. V-shift there, and the throw range long enough to get Scythe into the corner. That was sick. Okay, but not able to avoid that V-shift. Still only builds a bit of space. Scythe with nice jab confirm. Caught the throw whiff. Builds himself more space. V-shift there blocked, but the parry was on time for Scythe. This is going to be big damage, and the Oki. Goes for the throw. Silent K with the backdash. Crouch heavy punch isn't canceled. That's a V-trigger opportunity lost there, but the walk-up throw there from Silent K. They are in the threat range here. Any low 4 confirmed will be this game for them. And now with that V-trigger activated from Scythe, if you're Silent K, you don't even need to kill now. You just need to whittle that health down a little bit further in order to get your chip off. The problem is without the claw, you don't really have that option. The nice confirm into EX Scarlet Terror.
EX
or EX roll.
Rolly thing. Roly-poly.
I'm pretty sure that's Scarlet Terror.
No, I thought Scarlet Terror was the one where he flies up in the air, you know, after the roll. Isn't that Scarlet? I don't know any of his dumb names.
Pretty sure Barcelona is the one that follows.
Round one.
People who know move names precisely, and by this I mean jammers, are really awesome, because I definitely do not know all of them.
I don't care. I'm like, that's the thing. I don't know. I'm not a name person. I don't know.
But as a commentator specifically, it's so godlike to know the official names of the moves, because that means you're able to be exactly specific, and that's really cool. It's Crimson Terror, not Scarlet Terror.
Yeah.
It's Red Terror. But anyway, The rolling move is called Crimson.
Weird.
Side fighting back. Ooh, nice. Confirm there. Got the double stand medium punch. I wonder if that was crouching only. You get double stand medium punch into the crouch medium punch. The parry after the overhead. Okay, Scythe.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we didn't get the whip punish.
Tier god in work right here.
You didn't get the whip punish. Hey, wait, that actually I've never seen it go through a fireball. It could, like, and actually punish. It's so slow. It's so slow.
They have done that in this set.
Well, I've been doing other things.
It's never happened. You've gotten hit by Vega's EX.
We don't see. It doesn't even connect on combo. It's a terrible move. It's so bad.
I won't call it terrible. It's okay. It's okay.
Didn't it used to be faster and they nerfed it?
I don't recall that.
I'm pretty sure it was faster in season 1.
Oh my, wow. Okay. Retribution out of nowhere. Scythe actually got damage off that Retribution, which is kind of impressive. Oh, no anti-air there. Vega's jump buttons are actually pretty decent. So that's one of the things about Gil is that his anti-air options for damage are great, but he doesn't have invincibility. And that's one of the crucial issues. So you have to be in really good timings in order to get these anti-airs for Gil, which unlocks so much of his kit. Ooh, I wonder what was meant to be happening there. That Sandfierce interrupts the EX Fireball, and Scythe now goes up.
Slide.
To match point.
And then sliding in.
Joe, thank you so much for the sub. Appreciate it.
Big jump. Command grab. Command grab. Command grab. No.
Okay, no punish though.
It would have been.
Shift break was just gonna build space.
Yeah, space is good.
I don't know how to from Scythe. You drop over that top to get out of the way, but still, you are not plus in that situation as Gil ever. If it's on block, the Gil is -2. Oh, but you can confirm here from Scythe.
I wonder if it could be plus on meaty.
If you meted it well, yeah, probably could. Because it's only -2, so you could probably get it to be at least 0. Again, Silent K just needs the one hit confirm into the super.
Well, big damage.
Here? Oh, no cancel.
No! That's sad.
But it does get the throw, and that's huge. Now maybe
Dash
one more
up
button
EX
into
do it.
the...
Alright, walk up. Okay.
Slowly.
Okay, slowly walk up. That's 2, right?
Yep. Slowly walk forward and grasp the god. And send him to losers.
Alright, we're gonna go on a really quick break. I want to stretch real quick, but after that we'll be back with top 8, which is Wolfgang and Indabio, and then Chris versus Silent K, and then yeah, it'll be like a 5-minute break. It'll be pretty quick.
Alright, we'll be back at 7:35 to start winners top 8.
Alright, BRB. I did this last week.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We are now here to get top 8 underway. Q. So, gonna have Indabio versus Wolfgang. Still first to 2. We're not gonna be getting first to 3s until winners finals and losers semis. So, otherwise, what would be a short bracket would turn into a very long stream. And with all due respect, I don't feel like anybody's trying to be here like that. We do this every week, you know?
No.
And to be honest, the type of community that I like the best is one where you play somebody in bracket and then you just play them in regular ass casuals for a few hours afterwards. Because you enjoy playing each other. Or because you got something to prove, in which case you just grind it out because one of you has a chip on your shoulder. Either way it goes. As long as people are playing the game and having fun, we're all winning. So yeah, Wolfgang, 2-time Westside Smackdown champion. Oh, never mind. Street Fighter V Pro's on Indabio, so we have to wait for CFN to recognize that somebody is not there. Error out, and then we might have to remake the lobby. I don't remember.
It depends.
Well, at least it happened before the game started.
Yeah, you have to just. I think his whole game fucking froze. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah.
That happened to us a couple of days ago, actually. I remember, or it happened to you.
Oh,
during
will
the
there be a
ranked match.
three-peat? That's true. That would be a three-peat, or will somebody else dethrone Wolfgang?
That's the question. And Davio's trying to break into the winner's circle for the first time at our tournament series, and I'm not actually sure whether Indabio has taken any of the West Coast online locals. I know they've
I don't know.
gotten decently close a few times, but I don't know if they've ever actually
I haven't been
won one
paying
of those.
attention, no.
So, regardless of where you do it, a victory over Wolfgang or Chris CCH, our 2 top seeds tonight, is pretty impressive. Almost as impressive as the turnaround on that. That PC is running real well to get back into the game already. Or it didn't, like...
If I felt like I could play and do this at the same time, I would, but I don't think I could.
I just don't think it's...
I
think it's just a bad...
I don't think it's possible. No, the thing it would be like if I could borrow like Paul's laptop and play like on that table over there, you know. But like I said, I don't want to like.
There are ways to brute force it even with our setup. I
don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to brute force anything. Like I don't know. Well, I just want to play it sometimes. I'm just like, you know what? It'd be fun to be playing Laura right now. Just hugs. I wanna hug everyone in this bracket.
With electric gloves. Anyway, winner semis, Wolfgang and Davio. You gotta know that the experience difference for these two as competitors is decently large. Wolfgang has been a threat on the East Coast for some time before moving over to California earlier this year. But the experience matchup, as far as the matchup goes, is also one because Wolfgang has now got quite a little rivalry with Chris CCH going on. Whereas for Indabio, you're just not gonna find the Blanca that'll come at you the way Wolfgang is. Outside of Wolfgang.
I like the early harassment with since they have no bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wolfgang just harassing with the light Blanca balls because Luke can't punish it anymore.
It's a very firm way to establish early on. Like, look, are you the person who's gonna DP me out of one of these Blanca balls on reaction, or maybe preemptively
jump,
and get lucky?
or some shit like that. You have to preemptively or like. Because if you're too close, you can't react. You can't.
It's not realistic to react from every range. Certainly not.
No, like you can for certain ranges, but at that point you just wanted to block it or not block it, make it with and punish.
Good check there, but no counter hit.
No counter. Oh, no confirm. That's not dead though. Oh wait, it is dead. What?
So we saw in the first game of the stream, we saw Indabio with a lot of counter hit confirms. There, that stand medium punch did not counter hit, and so that's one of the things you're gonna get caught on. The buffer.
Bad buffer. Oh, baited. Look at this set play. Oh,
it's a drop.
That's a big drop.
Okay.
This could reverse all the momentum. Yeah.
There's Lucas. That's flat. I was talking about flashpoints. As soon as he gets started, he can turn into such a huge threat. Wolfgang finds a way out. The EX Rainbow Roll is projectile invincible and is really good at getting blocked out of the corner. You see Wolfgang go to that quite a few times. Grabs, gets the medium punch target combo. Oh, no cancel there. Does get the confirm into the V trigger, so that's really good damage. And then that nice whip punish.
They need to spin the meter, but
yeah, EX wasn't necessary.
oh,
but
that looked kind of weird at the end. That really late jump fierce that almost looked like it didn't even connect.
The crouch medium punch that looked like it hit right at the tip of the range.
Yeah,
it was scary looking, but
really,
it won the round. So
it was really scary.
now Davio trying to take this first game. This would definitely be an upset if they were able to pull this off, but it's a long way away from that. But that's a big punish. It's a medium punish.
Medium.
Heavy opportunity there for Davio.
It's still a big punish because it's such a misconfirmed like type thing, you know.
Right now we settle down. B-Trigger already active for Wolfgang, so the fireball game for Davio is way harder to represent.
Spent all that meter.
See the chip and the corner push here, but Wolfgang giving it back. Oh, heavy knuckle hits.
Dead.
Is that a punish?
Oh, it should have been dead.
Okay, the scaling here makes it questionable.
Questionable now.
But that's minimum scaling for the CA, so
no.
I think that's gonna kill anyway. I think he's over the
no.
line. He's over the line!
It's still killed even like that. Wow, that's wild that that's still killed, yo.
That was 50% scaling right there, and it did not matter. Luke got over anyway.
There was so much scaling.
And Davio goes up 1-0. And we go back to characters.
VT change maybe?
Maybe a VT change, maybe.
Or maybe character change.
I don't know if this is just even.
Or just a
who knows?
reset,
You
yeah.
could just be resetting the connection. Who knows?
Yeah, that too. Yeah, you never know. I mean, there was a couple of drops, so who knows what the connection's like.
Yep. To play Street Fighter V at the level that Wolfgang does, which is where you are, in contention with the best players in the world. I think it's safe to say Chris CCH is playing at a world-class level.
100%.
Has made the Captain Cup. And we've seen Wolfgang defeat Chris CCH. Yeah. In order to do that, you have to play this game on a hair trigger. So that means everything's got to be properly lined up. Your sequences you have to have your full faith and conviction. And everything has to work. In an online environment, that is just nightmarish at best. We get a VT change. We also get a costume change.
Was it always V skill 2 as well?
Yeah, it was V-Skill 2 from the beginning. Shout out the Earth. I mean, that is
Oh no.
missed the jab. Or the medium punch there. I think him and Davio thought they had a crouch medium punch punish. But instead, losing a lot of life here to Wolfgang. The anti-air heavy punch DP. One time. Stand fierce with punish. Wolfgang getting damage back out of defensive sequences, knowing the pushback. See the fierce there again, throwing it out. Stopping Davio from walking forward, trading, shake my hand. You can kick my foot as long as I get your life bar.
Round 2. Fight.
Okay, now taking the first round. Davio trying to get the punish again.
Oh, they get the fully
charge on the medium knuckle. It's the second time that's happened. It's unfortunate. The opportunities are there. You can see the blueprint. Davio trying to use Luke exactly as you've seen on TV with the stand light kick with punish into the throw. Here we go. The roundhouse is there, trying to stop Wolfgang from getting that EX Rainbow Roll out. Trades. And Wolfgang only gets the one EX Rainbow Roll with the meter they had, but the V-Trigger 2 still gets him out. Oh, that was a huge jump, but no confirm. And now Wolfgang trying to make it work in the corner, gonna Rainbow Roll back out. Set up these tricky, ambiguous jump overs. Look like Street Fighter 4 with some of this jump pressure. Nice flip punish with the EX Fireball, and then the V-Trigger follow-up.
Names are reversed. Oops. Oh yeah, that's right.
The medium punish on the Blanca ball into the V-Trigger. And Davio is now on match point. Hey now. James Blanca ball blocked. Wolfgang trying to set up that pressure again. Using those tricky jumps. Davio staying active. Touch frames on the EX. Caught in Davio trying to backdash or move out of the way.
That's a scary amount of meter. Even with not all that little health and stun, like.
Overhead. It's gotta be no, right? No. Let's see about the EX Fireball. The delay crouch medium punch, but no, again, the charge isn't there for Davio. That is so huge because we were looking at a building up stun that could have led to a guess for game situation, and instead, Wolfgang able to get out.
Blanca
Can't you
wins.
punish that EX Blanca Ball with EX Fireball?
I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, I thought you that and activate. I guess not.
Well, it wasn't represented there, and so now it is 1-1. Again, like I said, hair trigger.
Fight.
The slightest difference, the frame between getting a Flash Knuckle charged up to level 2 and it being on level 1 is the difference between something like 200 and 300 life points, you know, 20% of the
Oki.
screen, and Oki. It's all there for Luke, but you have to be pinpoint in
Ooh.
order to get it. As you see,
That's
Nabio gets
consistent
another
damage
punish,
though.
yeah.
No, that
Kinda
wasn't
hits
con.
the real.
Oh my gosh.
Again, these cancel windows. See the vision. You see the vision there, but you have to have it. Ooh, the whip punish.
Suppress.
So the shimmy up the suppressor. Punish there.
Wanted a big punish. Yeah, that didn't cross up. That was team side. That's gonna cross
That
up.
crossed up.
Yes, I was
That's
about
cheap.
to say that's gonna cross up.
That's everything is low price with that mix up.
All right, so got meter.
Whoa!
What, that hit?
The delay. No check
Dead?
on the eyeball.
No, not dead. All right, now dead. Jeez, I can't believe that EXDP connected. That was like max range.
Hey, Wolfgang. Match point. It's got a little scary. Still scary, actually, with this amount of meter and W has. You can't count him out, even in the corner. Blanca Ball's going out here. EX Fireball finds its place. Counter hit. Crouch medium punch. There we get the confirm in the Yoki. Jab looking for the shimmy. Wolfgang doesn't give it up. Wolfgang does get to stand fierce. And Davio backdashes the throw. Goes into the target combo. We'll keep this one safe with the V-Trick. Tries to interrupt Shadow of the Earth, but gets hit by Wolfgang. Wolfgang now putting the pressure back on, trying to win space. Stay out of that corner. Go forwards. Why is it not canceled? Oh, this time didn't have the V-Trigger. Wolfgang wasn't quite ready though. Meaty slide hits, activates in the V-Trigger. Cross up. Yes, indeedy. No.
Wait, no, wait.
Didn't
No,
get the
yes?
X up ball follow up. Yeah, it didn't go down in time. Didn't matter.
We up ball again.
Simply Blanca Ball again in order to win. Ah, that's a little frisky there. That set got kind of frisky there. Wolfgang fell behind early, but was able to claw back into things and takes the game convincingly. And you know what? When you put them in the scoreboard, nobody knows how close things were. They just know who wins and who loses. So
you
move
invite
on.
Chris and Silent K.
Up next, we are gonna have the other side of our winners' top 8. That is gonna be Silent K versus Chris CCH. So we are still gonna have Luke on the screen going up against Claw. First to 2, once again. Chris CCH willing to set up what is essentially El Clasico as far as West Coast Smackdown Grand Finals are concerned. It can be Chris CCH versus Wolfgang. Silent K looking to show what they're capable of. Make themselves in the winners finals. And you know, me and I here chilling with y'all.
Yeah.
Always fun to watch Wolfgang play, not gonna lie. It's a very unique experience.
You don't see high level Blanca very often.
Definitely
in 5.
not in the US, definitely not, no. You have you know, there's Nishiken who still representing out in Japan, and there's a couple of other Blancas here and there, but yeah, definitely a rarely seen character for tournament play, most certainly. So here we go. Chris CCH, Silent K, already underway. Chris trying to punish that forward fierce with stand heavy punch. That is a very aggressive posture to take, but if you do get damage like that, it's a big deal. There's the whip punch, and with that standing medium punch. Silent K opting to take the claw off early on in this matchup. Ooh, there's a miss confirmed, but no punish. And that is so big now. Silent K still stuck in this corner. Does land the crouch medium kick, and just as I say it, they do get out. Front throw. Pressure here. Trying to keep it safe. Gets caught by the EX Fireball. The tackle gets Oki for loop. No damage, but it's fine. Takes the back throw, and now you have pressure in the corner. Once again, Chris CCH stalking. Has that V-Trigger 2 active, so that allows Flash Knuckles to cancel into each other. Gives Luke access to a little bit more safety than he would otherwise have, and some new combo opportunities. Silent K with full meter. Seen a situation before for Silent K where they have all this meter and the opponent's V-Trigger is active. See right there. There it was. I was talking about it. And the EX, that was so devilish. Because Chris CCH did that -2 knowing that the EX DP was such a threat. Silent K had to respect it.
It's also plus, like, because it's that you can make that plus.
That Flash Knuckle? No, I was talking about
oh,
the flash knuckle.
Oh, the flash knuckle
Yeah,
was
the
devilish.
cancel
Yeah.
flash
Oh, I
knuckle,
thought you
yeah.
said the knee. Never mind.
No, I mean the back throw into the
Yeah.
knee. I mean that's devilish by design.
Yeah, this is a terrible design. Like,
I'm talking
why?
about the mind game behind that that
the
heavy
knuckle?
flash knuckle.
Yeah.
The Silent K respects the EXDP there. Oh, yeah. Speaking of EXs, man grab. Silent K saying stay focused on around that hand, buddy.
That suppressor goes so much farther when they're in the corner. It's so dumb.
Oh, missed the punch. You see it again.
Punish.
Chris CCH missed it.
Yeah, that's a good punish. Just get a stay medium. Claw. I feel like some Luke players are like, no, it's not consistent because you can't get medium, or whatever. The second medium punch might whip after the forward heavy punch is blocked, and it's like, no, you just get a medium punch punish. Like what? You just win.
Yeah, you just win the trade.
Right? You win the trade convincingly. Like what?
Okay, is able to keep things pretty even here, and it has the V trigger available first, but maybe he doesn't want to activate at this point in the round. Your life is really low.
Oh no, activation.
It's a scary thing to do here, especially with this little life.
Activation. Oh, activation super won't kill. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I got caught walking forward trying to throw or something.
I have gotten hit so many times trying to walk up in a Chrissy space. I know how you feel. With plus frames, without plus frames, feels like no matter what I do, I get jabbed out.
Only Chris is allowed to walk up throw you. You're not allowed to walk up throw Chris.
For some reason. CCH takes game number 1. We have to look at the withering win quote where Luke calls Vega cringe.
Cringe. Kind of cringe, dude.
That is the roughest thing as a fighting game player. I get called cringe in 2022? Alright, Silent K keeping the claw on right now. Looking good with that. That medium punch in that 4 fierce. I understand the hesitation with Luke because Luke's buttons turn into so much. So you're trying to poke against that can feel tough. But you see the value out of the range. But the key is to keep that range and you have to protect it.
No momentum for Luke, ever. You just can't allow him to gain any momentum, ever.
Jab into the activate. Nothing lands there, but the trade.
Ooh, that would have been a trade.
Ah,
So many trade opportunities.
Oh no, the reverse order of the flash knuckles. That's punished. Well done by Silent K. Goes for the throw, gets tacked, and you see the claw off instantly. Silent K with the confirm, has the V trigger on deck. That'll be the round. Nice and simple. Very well played round. Musakata, what up? Feeling good tonight. Glad to see you in here. Showing support. Appreciate it. Alright. Round number 2 here. Chris CCH is going to be a big punch, but again, misses the flash knuckle. Doesn't have the timings for those. And now you see the flash knuckles getting charged up, even on block. The threat of the trade combo is so big. Look at all the life being lost suppressed!
Oh my god. Yo, this character is silly.
Welcome to the future of Street Fighter. Oh.
Punish. Not a big punish, though.
Okay, there's
I like
the
that
slide
confirm, yeah.
Okay, able to get out, but they'll just punish into the full combo.
Ugh, that's
V-trigger to exclusive damage.
Roll.
Double take that. See how you like it. Chris CCH on match point. Swinging for the fences now with that back round. I was trying to just
Crush
trying to hit
counter
around.
something, yeah. Crush counter, a medium punch or something. Ooh, nice confirm.
And you can confirm that'll deliver the space we're talking about. Plus frames off the EX fireball. Plus frames off the medium punches. Except for the standing. That was my skill. Oh no!
That's big
not
punish.
That's supposed to be
EX. That was probably EX maybe, and it turned into super or something.
okay. Again with the counter hit, crouch medium kick confirmed. You know, it's really unfortunate because they had that counter hit crouch medium kick earlier on in the set,
yep.
and they were only just now turning it over, which is good. But
Oh, that's so much damage. EX might have even been close to kill, but the throw, because he had suppressor, so it's like, do you even dare teching at that point? Because like they could just do suppressor and yeah.
You have no life left, but to do anything other than guess perfectly at that point. But yeah, I'm not trying to harp on it, but more I'm trying to make the distinction when you see those little moments, those counter hit confirms, or situations like that, not getting the damage, not getting that screen repositioning means so much, and it's the difference between beating a player at the level of Chris CCH and coming close, which another word for that is losing, which people don't like. But yeah, we're gonna move down to losers now. Speaking of,
It's
this is in top 8, but we're still staying 2 out of 3. We're gonna get Scythe going up against Kurg, So that'll be Gilliam versus Balrogamus.
Balrogamus?
Balgaramus.
Balrain.
Punch Man. I wonder if is it a counter pick? I wonder why Scythe has G as there. Or maybe they're just playing G in rank or some shit like that and haven't changed it over. Because Gil Balrog, I have to imagine, feels awful for Gil, right?
Probably.
As a character who's
what feels good for Gil? Like
what matchup does Gil feel good in?
Yeah,
probably against
Abigail
Eve,
and Eve. Yeah, the big bodies.
I wonder how Birdie feels with his buttons. I would not imagine it's too terrible with his buttons. His buttons are good.
Exactly. No, I feel like Birdie would beat Gil. Yeah.
Honda, yeah. I feel like it's probably a good matchup for Gil.
Yeah, Gil and Honda. Yeah, Honda. You love losing? Me too. Feels good, man.
I do not. I can handle it.
It just be like that. There's gonna be only one winner in this bracket. The ultimate winner, there'll be one, and then everyone else is losers technically, if you want to look at it like that. But I don't know.
No, it's the fact that one person wins their last tournament set of the night. Everybody else lost their last set. Scythe up to a really good start right now with Kirk. We mentioned the fireball pressure, but Kirk has not found the spacing or the timing for V skill 1 or turnaround punch. Scythe does find the counter hit confirms, has this corner pressure, looks really good right now, but has to be wary about this. If you get caught being too over aggressive into that V trigger 1, everything could change in a second. But it looks like Kirk might not get a chance to activate. There's the EX. Doesn't turn it over into the V trigger. Still holding on to that resource. You just need one opening if you Kirk for this, but you have to find it. There it was, but unfortunately didn't confirm or didn't cancel quickly enough, and I had to keep the use the V trigger activation to make that safe on block. And so now this is a huge deficit at this point. Now Kirk has no easy access to plus frames. You know, outside of the dash punch, which the EX dash punch is plus, but he's very far away. And you see Scythe, no real threat to them and no fear as they use the crouch medium kick to take the round. Dash punch sitting there. There's the turnaround punch you mentioned. It's not just V skill 1. Balrog has multiple ways to beat those fireballs. If you can manage that, you can turn this matchup and any fireball-based matchup around really quickly. You see Kirk looking real good right now, but the crouch strong confirms from Scythe. Looking to turn things around. Sweep? Okay, but it works. Oh, and then EX dash punch to take advantage of that. Gil is not plus at the crouch medium punch. That is your turn. Oh, nice. Gets the retributions. Oh, this is kind of scary here for Kirk now. They're going to have to manage this. They got caught low, but is that going to combo? It does. I had to fall silent to let Gil finish that voice line. That might be my favorite voice line in all the game. Scythe returning to Harmony, taking game number 1. I love that voice clip. I love the art of that super. It looks so beautiful. One of the best, one of the most well put together critical arts in like Street Fighter 5. Kirk now answering there. The V skill 1. That's the spacing that we're used to seeing, and that's why a lot of people say you can't play fireball characters in the Balrog because of that V skill 1. But you see Scythe trying to force Kirk to be on point with that every single time. Space trap there from Kirk. That dash low is not safe on block except for the meatiness of it after the throw and the spacing. All that together makes it generally safe. Look at that, Scythe been able to find these interruptions. Oh, and like it to the throw.
His forward throw is so goofy.
Just gently picks you up and wrings your neck and throws you away.
No, he gives you a little massage.
Say, buddy, you got a crick in your neck. Those are my vertebrae, man. Oh, what a parry by Scythe. Retribution gonna get. Oh, no Oki there. Well, I guess that was. Oh, okay. I tend to think you have to end in a step kick in order to be plus up to dash up the skill, but maybe I don't know everything.
Oh, that's a big counter hit.
This is looking like a beautiful round for Scythe. The throw set up there.
Oh, that didn't kill. How negative is that? Target combo.
Pretty, I think -8. something akin to it, but it didn't end up mattering. Scythe comfortably takes that second game and the set 2-0. I know Gel's happy. Got to see Gil win. Gonna move on now. Gonna have West Dance up against Tonic Miner. West Dance, aka Saturn Bars. Alex versus Seth.
No, I'm just laughing. Almost like you were saving me because I couldn't find where Saturn Bars was.
Yeah, that kick target combo is -8.
Okay.
It is exactly. I don't know why I knew that was -8. It's not like I've ever punished that in the wild. It's not something that I really know. But hey.
Shit, I don't know.
We need to put it back so I can get out of the way.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, it's a Canadian matchup. I'm just assuming that Tonic Miner is actually Canadian and that flag is not selected as a goof. Happy you're in full bliss. Well,
Who's
Gel.
P1?
Saturn Bars, if I recall correctly.
Oops. What's up?
Nah, Zilcho. Busting that.
Oh, Canada.
All home and native line.
Nice flip punish. Tonic Mariner played Kirk. I was okay. It's just because it was a width like elbow or something and a whip punish. It gave me flashbacks from watching the Hidden Gems footage.
Yeah.
That crouch medium punch pretty good.
Yeah, it is. We are in losers now.
Oh yeah. It's been saying like, yeah.
A lot of activation. This is gonna be. Oh, Tonic Miner with the knockdown, going for the reset. But then went with a mid option there. That's a bit of a missed opportunity there for damage. Fortunate. Oh, big punish here? No, light punish. It could have been the round. Unfortunate. Roundhouse is still on deck. Tonic Miner gets themselves out of the corner with the dash up and now is able to get the round without meter. Tonic Miner makes off like a bandit, absconding with the round and the meter in the bag. But it's a really good setup for round 2. I mean, if you can get it, you know, if you can win meterlessly, then it sets you up really well here. Saturn Bars trying to find their way back into things. Oh, that lariat just sucks against female hurt boxes. They buffed it like 3 times and it's still just not good. But it went from like non-existent to just not good. Really good confirmed though from Tonic Miner. Tonic Miner loves to poke with those crouch heavy kicks and you see there confirmed into the critical art. Anytime you can do 40% damage, probably take it. Maybe not anytime, but you know, a lot of times. No meter now though. So Saturn Bars activates, things will get really dangerous here because Tonic Miner does not have an invincible reprisal. Only has the V-ship. That doesn't deal damage. So now, protecting yourself is really hard. And you see Saturn Bars with the comeback and the power bomb finish. And that's the risk of using critical R early in a round like that because you give your opponent full V-trigger and you lose your frame 1 invincibility on an attack as Seth. And that is just very dangerous to be
That did a
in.
chunk.
Oh no, actually
Yay, the cancel command grabs. I'm so glad Laura doesn't have that shit.
Busting out, protecting themselves. There's one thing about Saturn Bars' gameplay. When they smell blood, they go for it. Very patient play. A lot of times you see all the blocking happening here. The V reversal is not safe.
Big
that time Tonic Miner got the punish, but didn't get the full conversion. Why that wasn't able to turn into a full combo.
I don't know. It has to be dash fierce, I thought, to get the punish.
Oh no, the bust out. Oh no! What is happening? That should have been the end of the game, but unfortunately, for Saturn Bars, they don't get to finish.
What?
Chip isn't a factor here.
Oh my
Tonic
god.
Miner
Oh
has
my
a
god.
chance.
Oh my god.
There's the hit.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Wow, another chance to activate. No V reversal here from Saturn Bars. Wisely done. Has to block. Manages to do so. And walks out.
Bruh.
What? Stop!
What's happening?
Oh, but the medium punch isn't confirmed.
Yo,
Tonic Miner.
Tonic Miner, no! They almost did it. I wanted that comeback so bad.
Yo, the drama on West Side. So much drama
What the?
in the WSS.
I can't believe that EX Tom didn't connect. Jeez, just drifted forward too much.
Round 1. Fight.
Back and forth affair. Saturn Bars though able to make it. Go up a game. You see Tonic Miner now fight back, being very aggressive. Ooh, okay, that must have been an attempt to back rise, right?
I don't.
They just assumed they were gonna get knocked down, and then they didn't, so the roundhouse came out.
That must be a frame kill. That must be a
setup,
frame kill, yeah. I've never seen that frame kill
Tonic
before.
Miner, listen, if that's not a frame kill,
Your shit's neutral jump.
just let us lie, okay? Just let us lie.
No, it's happened too many times. That's dead.
That didn't even stun.
I
It
said
just
no. I
killed.
told you it's dead. It's not. I didn't say it's stunned. I said it's dead. Oh, it's chunks.
Oh my gosh. Ooh. Wow, that reach.
Yeah, they buffed
After
that.
buff. Oh, the dash up. That's not plus frames though. Tonic Miner able to respond. Fight back. Ooh, oh, they didn't combo.
Nice counter hit confirmed.
Miner looking good here.
Throw will stun.
Feels some meter. Not even close to killing here, so you just stack up
You
as
get
much
the
damage as
knockdown.
you can. Oh,
Reset.
the reset to
Yeah,
the plus
reset
frames.
into plus frames. I get it. I get
It's
it.
cheeky, but yeah.
Nice.
Oh. Punishes the V shift.
And yeah, they don't have VT yet because of that failed V shift. Oh, now they have it.
Oh, they caught him with the sledgehammer!
Flinched. Oh no. That always feels so bad when they catch you early. It's like, oh man, I could have won. If I just didn't do nothing else. Oh man.
Saturn Bars has had that happen. It's gone for that a few times in these tournaments overall. Actually likes releasing the sledgehammer early to try to catch you jumping out of the unblockable. And that's why right there, the high reward on that option. You get a full combo, you get critical art, and ultimately, at least Saturn Bar taking a set. I mean, by the skin of their teeth sometimes, but it's funny how consistently Saturn Bars comes out on top of those types of, those heart-pounding rounds. All right, and up next, we're gonna have Indabio versus Scythe. Thank you, W Nick, for the follow. Appreciate it. Head to the back of the queue. These two played off stream last week, and if you are following our YouTube channel like you ought to be, you'll be getting updated about the best matches that happen off stream every week in the Hidden Gem series.
NW is not Canada, and it's not up 2-0.
Negative.
Yeah. I know for all those things.
But if you are not following us on YouTube, head on over to youtube.com/Team Look and See.
You want me to? Here, I can just.
I think our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I can just.
Yeah.
I can just do that.
Or is that not active anymore?
I don't know.
Whatever.
I don't fucking.
We do a YouTube series where we watch all the matches that happen off stream, make a top 5 list, keep you updated so that you can know that this is a run back, and that these two actually had a really close set last week. Back and forth, so.
It was a pretty good set.
Round
Let's see
1.
what happens here. Stay fights, try to make it back into that top 3.
That's that really cool still image that you took from that set.
I wish we
sick.
had a mod that changed training stage because I'd
Ooh,
love
big-
to
no.
change it to put that on Sun Chase Moon. It would look real good for that background.
Yeah, I don't know how to mod that to make training mode be different stages. I don't. If anyone knows how to do it, hit me up. But I have no clue how to do that shit. So
It's literally something I would only activate for Westside Smackdowns, but I would do it.
it would be on Westside Smackdown's account. Yeah, exactly.
I think it's on the PC, not on the. It's on our computer.
Oh well,
The Steam thing. But we can turn
we
it
can
on.
turn it on and off. Yeah, it's not that big a deal. Ooh, misconfirmed.
That's a big combo. Response from Scythe gets the element put back on. So now any flame attack is gonna pop Indabio right up into the air. You see why now all those punching just for Scythe trying to get the fire type element, but Indabio fights it off. Has V-Trigger 1 activated. One low forward in it, EX Fireball and the V-Trigger can take it. Even if it's Fireball and the V-Trigger once or twice, that can be enough. Oh, I kind of like the backdash in case that's a parry attempt. But I like the EX Fireball to blow through even more from Indabio. Say, you know what? In a couple months, in 6 months, that's going to be me using 1 bar of my super art. Right now, that's just EX Fireball and the V-Trigger. Nice punish there.
Oh my god.
The move is too good to do what it's supposed to do. It dodged the throw hitbox so that it didn't even activate its own throw counter. That's ridiculous. Nice whip punish there. Davia with another shimmy. Manual. That's a space
clean. Yeah.
Looking to get the sequence together, but Scythe with another throw tech. Undeterred. You have to tech sometime. It's just the rule.
Oh, we didn't already said how it turned out. Oh, well, we guess we said how it turned out on the YouTube video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
Jab. Whiff stand jab and a crouch jab.
Spoilers though, Scythe won it that one time.
Alright.
Davio's up 1.
Round 1. Fight.
So that's not really able to make too much happen out of V-Trigger in that first game. Did get 1 combo, but wasn't really able to turn too much. And you see the Fireball game getting jumped over here. And Davio being very brave with that. We have not seen much of the way of anti-air combos from Scythe in this particular run. It's been more ground focused, using those dash-up throws, which we also saw last week. Nice. There's a confirm there from Davio. Taking control of the neutral with the heavy flash knuckle. If you're not worried about getting shimmy, and the opponent doesn't have a command grab threat, it's something you can really kind of just throw out there a little bit. Force to activate here, but it's plus. Likewise, Scythe forced to activate that Tree of Woe in order to keep it forward heavy kick staying on block. Lands another forward heavy kick. This time the Tree of Woe is going to get damage. And now that ice is going to force Indabio to block as soon as they land, but they do make it out.
They're still icy though. Oh, it caught the EX on the way up.
Wow.
Yo, that move is OD. That's dead. Wait, no, not gonna be able to build super. Never mind. Suppressor's too strong.
Save meter.
I thought that was gonna be able to build super, but that was way too far.
Match point now for Indabio. Oh, and a big jump to start things off. This is the perfect round.
This is gonna be Capcom Cup for some people. Like Luke just gonna suppress people's hopes and dreams. You know, they got the Capcom Cup, and the Luke Army is gonna be like, nope.
Scythe is able to use V-Shift to get out, but still now without a V-Trigger to get back in, they're gonna have to.
Wait, that counter hit before what?
Davio's match actually missed out on a bigger punish because of the jab. Well, I say mashing. I don't know how many times in Davio.
It was just one hit. It was just one hit.
When it comes out like that, we're gonna call it mash.
Yeah, mash is a different term. Okay. Yeah, it's a different term.
Fireball. Okay.
I don't know about
Scaling,
spending. If that's heavy
there,
scaling.
Heavy, yeah.
Oh well, you get plus frames.
No pressure.
Oh, just waiting.
Super.
Yeah.
Oh, no cancel. That would have been it.
Dead.
Then there's an easy DP. Though.
Nice.
Davio closing it out. The anti-air DP. That's at least the second set I've seen Indabio win in Westside Smackdown with those anti-air DPs.
Very good patience at the end.
Yeah. Great composure to close out sets. With it's such a basic skill to have in Street Fighter, that anti-air uppercut. But when you can represent that consistently, so many matchups, so many player matchups, as well as character matchups, all of a sudden become very close, you know, to turning in your favor. So well done by Indabio. They fight their way in the loser semis, and I believe, I'll have to double check the brackets, but I think that might be the first top 4 appearance for Indabio. I think the only other one would be possibly in week number 1, but
I don't know.
I'd have to double check that.
No, I don't know. No, top 4. No, I think they made it week 1. Week 1 was Revilo, Chrissy, and Indabio.
No, it was Matoha.
Matoha.
Revilo got
true.
4th. Yeah.
That's true. So no, yeah.
Scythe, came out on top when these two played last week. So yeah.
Yeah.
So well done to Indabio now, trying to make their way into that losers final. Yo, can I just say I got a lot of love for the love you show your favorite characters. It's good to like things like that. Like it's good to have things that you enjoy and care about.
I got you.
And I'm happy to be able to run a tournament where you get a chance to see your favorite characters play, whether it's a character like Gil or Blanca, or if you're really smart, Luke. You're gonna see him all the time.
You're gonna see him in Street Fighter 6 too.
Yeah, all over the place.
You're gonna see him day one for me probably, unless somebody's absolutely fucking broken.
See him day one from a lot of people because he's the protagonist and he's gonna be real strong for a couple of weeks, if not longer. We'll see how it goes after that.
We'll see.
So the first couple of weeks, Luke's definitely gonna feel really strong. But that's Street Fighter 6. That's June 2nd. We're December 21st right now, where
Merry Christmas.
Saturn Bars is going up against Silent K. Losers quarters. Winner fights Indabio and enters into the first to 3 arena. Saturn Bars gets a jump in. Light pressure turns into a throw. Hasn't been touched so far.
Oh
Only
shoot.
recovered gray life damage thus far for Saturn Bars. So real good. Whereas you can see, oh my god, the fierce stuff stand medium punch. Oh my god. Oh no. Saturn Bars, what a great round so far. Looking so strong. Silent K has full V trigger. Got 2 bars. There's a lot that they can do off of this, but geez, the interactions have not gone their way. Nice. There's something going. Steady ball. Or Ellie Grace or something like that.
Nice
Into the
confirm.
super.
Is it gonna be a throw? You think it's gonna be throw? Throw?
I'm down back and I'm not taking.
Throw.
I'm not taking. I died.
Yep. Throw.
Stomp!
And then no, I saw him.
Saturn Bar said, no, I'm gonna extend the torso. Plant the feet. Oh, no anti-air there. There's a big jump. Opportunity there. Oh, misconfirmed as well, but Saturn Bar doesn't get the punish. Does get the EX head smash. Gains the life lead. Silent K now claw off. Looking for those cancelable buttons.
Silent K. Alright, that's...
No, I said Silent K.
Oh, I thought you said Silent K.
No.
I was like...
No, I didn't.
K, Silent K.
Nice and walk under there. Vega's walk speed so good for that. And Vega's anti-air options are not exquisite. Jump jab you'll see sometimes. Air throw an option. Stand roundhouse from certain ranges where you know the jump is coming, but oftentimes walk under is kind of the best option for Vega. Now Silent K. Got a huge punish. Gets another nice light punish there into the throw. The sequence looking good, but the Abare from Saturn Bars hitting jab on the wake up. Sledgehammer is blocked. That'll be fully punished into the V trigger. And that'll be round number 2 for Silent K.
Final round. Fight.
Nice.
Wow,
Once
that's really
again,
good.
the slash claw into the super. Starting to round out fast, but we saw this happen.
Throw it again.
Tonic Miner did the same thing. Got the early super on Saturn Bars, and then watched their whole life bar disappear.
Do you think that up thing was on purpose? The up Aurora or whatever?
He catching the back, definitely. Or maybe he catches Vicious. I wouldn't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I was like, maybe it was an input error.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Me neither.
Silent K is like, I had claw on. That's supposed to be command grab.
She is.
Wanna go stand jab?
Ooh, nice.
Huh, that did.
That was weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, try to go low. Activation. Sweep.
Yeah, Silent K, really good usage of the full kit.
Vega wins.
One thing about Vega, even though Vega's buttons are extraordinary, in order to get like real damage with him, you know, you have to be so good at catching these weird angles. Like Vega's angles are probably has one of the most.
It's situationally too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of situational stuff that he gets. Like he doesn't get that confirm off low forward unless it's counter hit and a sweep. Like else you go like meh.
But now players like to pretend like they're doing trigonometry with the V trigger activation, and in order to actually use it in neutral, I guess you would have to be. But claw players are the ones who I think actually have to like
Ooh, nice.
figure out weird angles and how things work. Because nothing goes slightly wrong more
I think
often
like
than for fall.
their hit. They have to know hitboxes and hurtbox pretty well because his are goofy.
Yeah.
And the way he converts is goofy.
And the way he interacts with everybody else is goofy.
Yeah, he's just a goofy guy. He's just a goofy guy that I wouldn't play.
Well, he got put in his face right now. Satin bars.
Command grab.
Would've worked.
Do it.
Ooh, oh, that would've.
One of y'all
that
command
had
grab,
been
please.
Double strong into the
Thank
cancel.
you. Thank you. I wanted a command grab.
Off the low.
Nice.
Satin bars trying to get out. Cross up. Got
Activation.
him. That'll stun.
Sweet.
And kill. Doesn't matter. Kill. As Vasuki types, kill is greater than stun.
Round 2. Fight.
Match point now. Silent K.
Nope. Oh, caught the active or the EX.
Oh, jump forward short. Also works as an air dare.
That slash is so annoying. It just seems like he's taunting you as he pieces out. He's like, haha, like.
Yeah. I mean, he is
Back to
taunting you.
neutral, and now I win the neutral.
That's what he's a matador. Is what he's supposed to be doing.
He's a jerk.
He's trying to rally you up. Oh, Silent K went for the punish there. Crouch jab into the EX Barcelona, but unfortunately was too far away. And now Satin Bars with a chance to work.
Big chop.
The front throw. This time
Yes.
cancels the stand strong. Gets the double stand strong. Put a stun. The power bomb.
I think Vega died after that power bomb. I think that killed him.
I think you're right.
Yeah, he did.
We are into the final round.
It's over.
The punch is landing. Okay. This time doesn't try to punish
Nice.
the stand roundhouse.
The Vega anti-air, just walk under.
Again, that last hit does not how I
I don't know if
see
I
it.
don't yeah, I don't know if
what's
that's on purpose or not. I don't know. Maybe is
If we get
Alex
a Vega
okay?
player in the chat, is that just Vega things, or is that
know.
supposed to be, is that just against Alex? They never actually combos right? Is it some weird melee thing?
I don't know. Ooh, whips the shimmy, but the fiercely punish.
Hilarious.
Back
Back
dash
dash,
out.
yeah.
Nice air throw.
Yeah, throw represented.
Doesn't have super, so. Just getting some chip. Doesn't connect, it's too slow.
Backdash is out of the back throw range.
Punish? Yeah.
To go early. I
Yeah,
mentioned it.
I like
Satin
it.
Bars likes to let it go early to catch people jumping out, and this time you see the downfall of it.
Win.
Silent K stays resolute, blocks it out, and then wins the set, takes it 2-0. Respectable finish for Satin Bars, gets 5th place. Knocking on the door. And now we're going to move up into the winner side, where we're going to get, like I mentioned, El Clasico.
First to 3.
Yeah.
First to 3.
Wolfgang versus Chris CCH. Look, nobody is surprised to see this as winners finals. If this ends up being
Oh, they're here.
grand finals, no one will be surprised.
Yeah,
But
that's
we
very,
play it
very,
out.
very likely. I would bet to say that this would be grand finals if I was a gambler.
Oh, this would definitely be the favorite at odds, yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Chris CCH says, I'd like the opponent to be Rose. Shout outs to Flaquito and Filipino.
Great.
The BFF click. Wolfgang requests to go up against Honda. Now, these are two characters I never see anybody asked to play against. Rose and
Right?
Honda.
I hate both of those characters.
Start the match. Y'all are weird.
I would rather fight against Luke or Blanca than Rose and Honda. I hate those characters.
Yeah, I guess. If I'm playing Laura, right? I guess.
Yeah, if I'm playing Laura. I'm playing Laura.
All the same. Alright, we're underway.
Oh wait, shit. I need to.
I think we got another direct contribution. Somebody else partook of our Maturino quests. We are at $14 right now. And outside of one direct contribution for $5, the rest of that has come from our sponsor quests. So I want to say thank you to everybody who has gone through to those sponsor quests. Okay, Doc also directly contributing $5. Appreciate that. But yeah, thank you everybody to utilizing Maturino. It'll allow us. It is Rose.
Wait, what?
All right, asking you shall receive.
Wait, what?
What a nice.
Wait, what?
Wolfgang, did your first on a hyena? Is that a hyena in Wolfgang's
I don't know.
profile picture? I think it's a hyena,
Me.
but I'm not sure.
But why?
What a nice player. Well,
But
CCH is taking
but why
advantage.
Rose?
Wanted to play a role.
Okay.
Chris CCH asked, and Wolfgang answered. And here we go.
Christ.
Like, I don't know.
That is a hyena. Okay.
Okay, it is a hyena.
Okay.
What a nice hyena to play Rose in game 1. But Chris CCH picked Luke and not Honda, so I feel like
Right, like that. I think the trust has been betrayed, and you should
You know
go
what I
back
mean?
to. You should go back to.
damn near
Oh my God.
makes me wanna, as a TO, step in and say, "Hey, you didn't pick Honda.
Nah.
They picked Rose." Nah, I'm joking.
Nah, this is the section we need.
No, this is brutality.
Oh, no holds barred. All right, so we're gonna see a switch.
Hopefully, or we're gonna have a real fast
We're
winners
gonna have
finals. I
really
don't know.
fast winners finals. Yeah.
We'll see. Was the 3P just not meant to be? Is that it?
I guess not.
All right, 1-0. That happened.
Yeah.
Whispers in the audience as we go back to character select. Somebody, please don't use Rose.
Jeez.
Alright. Well, Chris has to pick Luke, so thankfully we're not going to get trolled and then get back in
Honda.
and see Wolfgang on Blanca and then Chris CCH on Honda, because he's not allowed.
You're not allowed.
Let's do this.
But that, hey, I don't know what to tell you, that's game one. I think we have more sets on stream this week than we had sets off stream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. This is like going to be...
I mean, we're
This
still
is
making pretty
gonna
good
be
time.
No, I'm just saying because it's gonna be the easiest hidden gem. There's only 2 sets. I don't know what hidden gems might
It might just be the hidden gem.
I don't know. We'll see.
The
We might have a
singular.
couple clips.
The singular gem.
Yeah.
No, the
Slightly revealed gems.
I
Oh,
know.
Wolfgang going back to Rose.
Wait, what?
I think that was a V trigger change.
I'm so confused.
Oh, I don't know.
Alright, like yeah, it just might be a
Alright.
really quick winners finals.
Hey, look.
I
look,
just
do
it
I just update the
teleports.
score? Huh? Is that what you're telling me? We're on the left corner now and not the right corner. Totally different. Okay, there's a whip corner from Wolfgang. And then jump around house from Chris CCH. Oh no, the whiff. Oh, messed up the counter hit combo. I feel like that should work. That usually works. Crouch vegan punch on counter hit. It usually goes into crouch heavy punch. It works for Luke. Well, block reset by Chris CCH.
And whiff.
Fierce. Rose is fierce. The hurt box is extended really far, but her body doesn't move, so sometimes you get the whip punish on the scarf's hurt box, but then you can't hit her body for the follow-up.
Yeah, because it's too far away. Oh, damn. Reacted, but not enough info. Plus rings.
Alright, Wolfgang with no resources here. No life either. Oh, finds low for it. Catches Chris CCH walking up. Chris CCH look for it again. This time tech. Low four lands again here for Wolfgang, but then the
Oh my
wake
God.
up crouch jab.
God damn it. Don't you hate that when you're getting that comeback and then no, denied.
Yes.
Denied. Just a little.
More than anything.
Alright.
Oh, suppressed. Where you going? What you taking? What you doing? Okay, jab checks. Gets caught by the forward heavy punch. Chris CCH confirms the target combo. Should go up 2-0. To his favor. Thank you. Well done, Chris CCH. Maximize damage before the super, so we didn't have to look at the animation. I appreciate that.
Luke wins.
Hey, Wolfgang. At this point, it hit rematch then.
Right, run it back.
Fuck, run it back.
Commit. Or we just.
Commit to the bet.
Or,
Yeah, no.
No, I don't know. We'll see.
Alright. Go back. Back a Q. Chris CCH put something cheeky into the fucking chat, and now we gotta see who Wolfgang's gonna.
But he can't be M Bison.
He can't. You gotta win.
We DQ him if he. You're gone. You're out of here.
That's a technical foul.
Let's do this.
Winner is only allowed to change V triggers on character switch. You won't be able to change anything in Street Fighter 6. You'll just be locked in because there's no ultras. There's no V trigger.
Yeah, that's
This is
true.
the first Street Fighter since. This is the first Street Fighter game since I think Street Fighter 2, where the rules won't have winners has to stay with one character but can switch.
The but can switch
Because
rule.
For
Yeah.
5 you can switch V-triggers. For 4 you can switch ultras. 3 you can switch super arts.
Yeah.
And even in alpha, I presume you could probably switch.
Oh, we are
which
getting
group
one.
you were in. But,
Yeah.
and 6 is just gonna be winner stays or winner has to run the same thing back. So. Anyway, Wolfgang finally picking Blanca, down 2-0. And at this point, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I hope Chris CCH wins so we can move on to loser semis. And then if Wolfgang makes it back to grand finals, then we can have the set that we thought we were gonna have. But at this point,
we want more Rose. We want
no,
Rose.
no, I did not want more Rose. That is always the case. I never want more Rose.
I hate Rose.
If you main Rose and would try to win Capcom Cup credibly with Rose, I don't want to see
what
it.
a stutter stat though. That was kind of sick. No, it's true though. I hate Rose as a character. I don't like her.
Oh, that would be cool. V-Trigger one does such wonders for Blanca, especially.
Nice.
Got caught. But it doesn't do anything for you when you try to dash.
Also, I don't like Honda. I'm glad Honda wasn't chosen. Thank you. Can you punish her with Gris? I don't think you can.
Yeah, maybe, or not that fireball, or that Blanca ball. Right?
Not that one. Yeah, not EX.
Wolfgang representing a bit more pressure here. Here's CCH.
Oh, with punish.
Flying forward. Walked
Nice
right under
punish.
and got the target combo. Well done there by Chris CCH. Cancels into the V trigger and not the EX fireball, and that's so good for Chris CCH. That optimization is huge.
Nice.
Well done by
Very
Chris
clean.
CCH to take that set. You know, instead of like the all-stream matches for Hidden Gems, I might just talk about how good moments like that are, because for Chris CCH to cancel that suppressor into V trigger instead of into EX fireball completely changes the value of damage that they can get while keeping the pressure up. So you keep your opponent revved up. They still have to be locked in defensively. But now if they're wrong, they lose so much more life than they would have otherwise. It was really well done by Chris CCH. Again, that type of hair trigger optimization that you have to have if you want to be successful as a Street Fighter V player on display. And you know, both of those players are capable of it, and they've both shown it, but on any given day.
GG.
So, Chris CCH moving into Grand Finals, looking to dethrone Wolfgang's, at this point, eternal hold on the Westside Smackdown Championship, which doesn't actually exist. We don't have a belt or a medal or anything, although one day, maybe. I think one day I would like to get a belt. I would love a belt to represent my championship series. So we're going to get Indabio. We got to get out of the bracket, or out of the way, so that they can run. Our losers semis matchup, first to 3, as loser semis should always be. Winner of this will face Wolfgang in losers finals.
Woohoo.
Yeah, Doc, I try to make sure. One of the things that I've always appreciated about online events, was it meant to be mine?
I mean, it works.
All right, yeah, I guess it's whatever. But one of the things that I've always liked about online events is that you can watch every single set that has been played online in Street Fighter V as long as it actually ended. That's incredible. Like the amount of matches that are freely available on CFN. I mean, it's huge, you know. So one of the things that I always wanted to do if I ran an online tournament series in Street Fighter V was take advantage of that, and that's what Hidden Gems is. But this is loser semifinals. Silent K on call, going up against Luke's, or Indabio's Luke.
Luke all the time.
All Luke, all the time. Indabio was able to overcome Scythe earlier on in the bracket, looking to overcome another Grandmaster player here in order to advance in the losers finals. We mentioned this is his first top 4 showing. Would love to make it his first top 3, and then obviously, hey, if Indabio can create a Luke mirror, I like Luke mirrors. I think it's fun. I love seeing 2 hilarious characters do fun things to each other, and big game is just fun to me. So I would have no problem with it, but it's gonna be a tough No, seriously. Oh,
that
no.
punished. Oh my god. That punished the button. I wonder if they could have done light kick or something.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the issue
Because they got
was
counter
what
hit.
they went for.
Yeah,
they
they
went for a heavy
fierce or
punch,
something. Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, throw would have been cool too.
All the same, somehow Silent K was
Oh,
able to-
nice. Super?
How did they flip the corner?
Is that gonna kill?
How did he jump over?
I don't know.
Uh,
It was a back
oh, it
throw.
was a back row.
Yeah.
Damn, this is the whole thing was a back row incident.
Nice, nice.
Oh, there you go, Silent K.
No, it's just, yeah, it's not a cry. It's just because, yeah, there was no stand light kick. It could have been punished. It just wanted a greedy punish.
It was a little fast.
Yeah.
A little fast.
I mean, that BT is very fast.
Silent K is getting so much value out of these heavy
They
punches.
got so much done.
Or Fierce as well. My goodness.
Yeah, and Davio could have medium punched like one of a few of them, but maybe doesn't know that that's the preferred
Here's
punish.
again the suppressor into the B trigger. Okay, doesn't cancel into the fireball here. Silent K B reversals, doesn't get punished for it. Oh, okay. Davio has to be very careful letting go of some of these fireballs. Silent K has meter to use EX Crimson Terror to go through. As you can see, it's really just fishing for the jab confirm. Silent K, but a lot of buttons out of the corner here, and they're working out. Trying
Oh
to
my
push
god.
Davio back, but didn't like that walk up throw. Nice B shift.
In the command grab, flips the screen into press. Oh no!
What a comp! Oh, too high for the super. Okay. And Davio wasn't looking for it.
I mean, it's anybody's and one-touch game. Oh, no
Oh,
sweep.
that's unfortunate. No sweep or no B trigger confirmed there
Yeah.
either. And
Sweep.
sweep lands.
I mean, might as well slide it and activate. Slide and activate again. Soon come.
Davio. My
Scary.
goodness. Scary out. Stand medium punch. I think if there was one button I had to bet my life on to close out a match, if it wasn't Luke's like stand light kick or no Luke's crouch light punch, I think Vega's stand medium punch. Both of those buttons are incredibly good at closing out rounds.
Round one. Fight.
Oh, we got a little bit of yeah, it was a weird lag spike.
Oh, is there a lag spike right
Yeah,
now?
it spiked at the beginning of the round.
Weird.
I think they worked through it. They don't feel like it ruined the integrity of the match. But yeah, the connection has been a little jittery.
Jeez.
And that's a bummer. This is the one thing Street Fighter V's netcode what is unacceptable about it. We're all three of us in SoCal. We're all in very close geographical proximity, relatively speaking. And Street Fighter V just doesn't really take that into account with connections.
Yeah, what the fuck? It's jittering up.
It's unplayable. Yeah.
What
it's
the
unplayable.
fuck? Do we need to?
Yeah, we have to restart. But I think we'll restart no problem because these
If we need to restart, we can. Jesus fucking Christ.
It's like you mentioned, Silent K is in the 805
808.
or 808. Okay. Yeah, but we're all three in Southern California. I
And
think.
Davio's in California too?
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe in SemCal. I don't know. I don't know where they are.
Pretty sure they're in California.
Okay.
So like,
I didn't know they were SoCal though. Maybe. I can check.
but
right
either
here.
way, the problem is even if they are in Southern California, it doesn't guarantee you consistent
Yeah.
like connection.
Connection. Yeah. No.
And it's just not acceptable.
It's terrible.
For all of this
That's
game
an Oaks.
can do.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For all of this game can do, and this game does pull some miracles with connections. I've had some really good EU to US connections from day one.
West Coast. Shout outs to like Mylin. My connection with Mai is actually pretty solid. Yeah. No. This is terrible. What the fuck?
Here's hoping we never see it in 6 or in any fighting game thereafter from any company because nobody wants this. But
Right? Like what the fuck?
and Davio and Silent K fighting through it. Respect to them because I would
I would have been
called
pissed,
for a reset.
right? I would have been like, fuck this. I just wouldn't want to play. Oh man, I just want to. It gets like this. I just don't want to play anymore. One of us is just I don't know.
Right on the line. Oh, nice whip punish. The timing on those button presses be so precise.
That
Or very fortunate, but either way. Your skill kind of enhances your luck when you find the right spacing. Oh,
Jesus.
God. There it is again. Yeah.
And it, yeah, why now? Like,
And that was it for game number 2. Wow.
jeez.
That's really unfortunate. I'm sorry. Y'all had to see that, and I'm sorry that they played through that. That is just.
Are they gonna continue?
Yeah, we'll see what they want to do here. Yeah, it's true, Doc. It might not even be the netcode, right? Sometimes it's just internet service providers not
getting along, or
equipped to play well,
or somebody's getting throttled because it's like, oh, you're like at around this, we don't want you. Nah.
Yeah. So, oh, it's 8:30 in your area. Too many people on the internet. We're just gonna drop your speeds from what you pay for. Which we've had to deal with. We've had to deal with. Get on the phone and like be really aggressive with tech representatives in order to like get across the point that we weren't getting the speed we paid for.
Yeah.
Hey,
bad.
we want to talk about Street Fighter, so let's focus on the match, right?
So Luke threw Vega, and that made me very sad.
Okay, man. You're right. That did happen. And then what?
And so I think Indabio needs to hit Silent K more times so he can win.
Okay.
I think that would be a good thing for him to do. Like, yeah, the counter hit there, and yeah. But he should have probably done more damage there, probably.
Yeah, you know, anytime you get the jump in combo, you really want to be activating. Oh.
I can.
Yeah.
I'm so sad, y'all. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry y'all have to deal with this. Indabio, Silent K, I'm sorry, y'all. I was happy to play on US Hotel Life after being on certain countries' internet.
That's very unfortunate, man.
That's a.
Sorry.
Yeah. Dude, we might need to reset the lobby though. Oh my god.
I mean, props to these two, yo. They're being troopers about it. And just
Right?
fighting through.
Yeah, I'm like, jeez. I mean, CFN, we've unfortunately all been there before. People handle it differently. I just like cry and really angry. Why is this happening?
Yeah, you play any online game long enough, you're gonna have games like this where the connection just seems to fall apart. But Davio was able to backdash command grab. They cancels the stand medium kick, fishing for the counter hit so that can combo properly. Doesn't get it, but still really good gray life. Fireball chipping down as well. Crouch jab into the crouch medium punch. Counter hit only, but little hits and bits. Racking up. Oh, EXDP. And Davio got the true most unfortunate block string you never want to see. Crouching button into EXDP, because that's when you know you was hitting them buttons real hard. Sonic K takes advantage. This is game number 3, first of 3. Winner of this will advance on to fight Wolfgang in losers final. Pretty even thus far, although as you can see the the screen difference really strong now, and Davio pushed Silent K back decently far. And as soon as I say that, don't stay short. This whole round has been staying short. Yo, Silent K. Oh my goodness.
Silent short.
The light kick combos. Yo, the light kick pressure. Using the 3-frame to the fullest. Okay.
Activation? No activation yet.
For the shimmy. Doesn't come. Now stun is gonna drain down here. Silent K.
Oh my god. Is that gonna kill? That's gonna kill. That's gonna kill. That's gonna kill. I told you, because if you looked at it, the gut scaling, it was one hit. Like that. No, yeah. 1,000? No. Jesus Christ.
Oh. Yo, that was over the stun bar. My bad. Damn, I fell victim to my own me.
Just.
I mean, yeah. That's what happens when
No,
you don't scale your critical art.
I mean, they're
No
going
gut
at it.
scaling.
No, they don't want to
Back
reset
into
it.
it. At this point, I'm just gonna let it. I'm just gonna let it drop. I'm just gonna play it out and enjoy the Street Fighter we have.
Yeah. Nice.
Silent K now.
That
up
buff,
2-1.
that sand medium kick buff, that's kind of alright, but not that great because it whiffs sometimes, or that it gets blocked. Nice.
And obviously you can see now really starting to get more aggressive.
That was not counter
defensively.
hit.
Just hit me.
Yeah. What a good button.
That was a forbidden combo.
Yeah, good.
We need to clip that. Clip that.
I like forbidden combos. Forbidden combos for me are like ones that the. Oh, okay.
That's content.
Okay.
Oh,
Punish.
there's the veer.
Wait, so you can get
Yeah,
fears.
there was. It was just a timing issue.
Okay, okay, you can get fears there. Nice.
Okay, so I knew what I was going
Right?
to do.
It's showing us up. Like, no, you can do this.
Oh, the run cancel doesn't
No
come.
super. Okay.
Save the meters. All right, match point now. I believe for Silent K. After Indabio. Gotta throw the mask off. Get
Right
the
now?
damage
Like
buff?
that?
Early. Okay.
I mean, the full super is on deck.
There's the
this-
opportunity. This
I would
is
super.
huge damage.
I would fucking
saves
super.
it. Okay.
I would have like get all that damage.
Right, Silent K with the opportunity, but they're gonna take more damage this entire round as well. So
Yeah, that's. I feel like you want to do damage early. You're like mono red, you know, and just go.
you still got a curve corrected.
I mean, yeah. And Dobby got so much meter into this activation. Because now he can threaten with like fake stuff or like -2 stuff into like, or unsafe stuff into the activation to make it safe.
That's true, but you have to worry now that you're giving
V reversal.
Silent K
Yeah.
V reversal and you're giving them access to V trigger. It's too much things.
Yeah.
But Indabio has done really well to walk down and just threaten, like you said, right? Not actually using those resources.
I like it to go out. Yeah, get out. Yeah.
Forces it out.
Get
And that's
out.
great. And then you
Get
see right
out.
now, you see Indabio, as soon as the V trigger is gone, now they're canceling into the V trigger
Yeah.
stuff. When the threat of V reversal isn't on deck. Oh,
Nice.
nice confirm. Okay, gets the Oki. Oh, a little too
Waiting,
late.
yeah.
With punish on the fierce. Indabio looking to take this back. Gets the punish on the backdash. This is not Street Fighter 6. My throw whip recovers in 17 frames. More than fast enough to
Wait,
respond to your
17
backdash.
frames? I thought more than that. I thought it was 24.
And 5?
I thought it was 24 total frames. 24 total frames
Yeah.
per throw. So that is 17 recovery probably. 5
That's what I said,
startup.
recoveries.
5. Yeah. Never mind.
Yeah, 17 recovery.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Okay. For another.
Nice punish.
I pilot that. Those types of strings against Vega. They can,
Vega's annoying. Yeah.
that kick backflip where they don't go back very far allows them to return a lot of situations like that into punishes. And that's kind of been the unique trait of Vega since the beginning of the since Street Fighter
That
5.
light kick.
Yeah, this is bullying tactics. Oh,
And-
with the drop.
Yeah, because it won't connect. Nah.
Indabio, V-Ship early anticipating the V-Ship break, but
No anti.
Silent K doesn't give it up.
Just doesn't want to use the claw or something? Like, what are you saving it
I
for
think
later?
Silent K just prefers to use the cancel ability of the punches.
That's true. I mean, one hit in the super should probably kill if it's clean. Like if it's a medium or heavy.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, definitely will, right?
Or-
Claw's on now.
Yeah.
Get access to the slice into
Yeah.
super, yeah.
Yeah, I like it too. And they have VT too, so any like bad fireball can go also get punished.
Dash up,
Nice.
medium punch, good plus frames for Indabio. They could throw dash up again. Oh, the run!
They didn't run like after that another time. Like what? Low forward cancel into overhead.
Delayed overhead
It's
too.
that run overhead. Jeez.
Run a little bit and then jump, and then overhead.
That's wild, dude. I don't see that happen. I feel like that's so risky. Because whenever you see the run, if you train yourself to just look at run, you always hold back because the shoulder charge is not a low.
That's another mid that is
Yeah.
also unsafe.
Yeah.
It's weird that Luke, the MMA character, doesn't have a
low
that's not
option, a takedown,
command
like,
grab.
yeah.
There should be a grab option out of that run, but
mhm.
I don't know. That Pacers game ended up being really close.
Did they still win?
Yeah, the Pacers still won.
Okay, I was about to say they were up by almost fucking 30. If they lost, that would have been really funny,
They
actually.
were up by 29 at one point and won by 5.
Tatum.
Alright. It's a Street Fighter.
No cancel though. There's a cancel. Cross
Oh, no
cut?
cross cut. That was usually good for those. I wonder why that one was slightly off, but
No baby.
and then we slide.
Yep.
To the
We got the meter. We slide. Do it again.
No,
Oh,
look
try to
for the
walk up
EX.
EX.
Okay, and Davio's gonna keep it safe, yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, yo,
and
that-
Davio likes to use the meter just to make sure.
And I tell you what,
I
that
respect it.
hitch, I don't know if it was on their end or if it was just on ours, but it scared me. I'd have bailed out too.
Me too.
Damn the optimization. Now and Davio's on match point. You get out of that round if you can.
Oh, no.
Happy days for Indabio. Silent K has made things happen with their back to the wall before, and they'll have to do it again.
Oh, this stutters, yeah. I feel so bad for them.
Especially in this situation where you have to be on point to try to get out of this corner. Silent K trying to fight back. Grab some screen positioning, and that'll flip it. That's really good for them. So now look at that, turns it right back around. And Davio now the one who has to be aggressive to get out of the corner. Punish there. Good throw. Davio looking to close things out. Has V-Trigger available for activations. Jab check is good, but doesn't get the full target combo. +1 here on the activation. Forces Silent K to respect the string. Cancels in the fireball. Have to be careful about that now. Slide from Silent K with the throw again. Life bar similar, both on critical art. Any hit in the combo CA here, I think takes it. And Davio had the opportunity, but didn't get the cancel on the DP. That would have been it, but no. Instead, Silent K gets another chance. And Davio jumps, looks for the shimmy, still not coming. V shift 2 or V skill 2, still no shimmy. Gonna have to force the activation, and Silent K was actually ahead of it. Silent K V reversal before the V trigger. Knew Indabio was gonna cancel to keep it quote unquote safe, but against Vega it's not. And now we go into the final round.
I feel like against Vega, VT2 is pretty good. Maybe. Maybe not.
I mean, it does that job, right? You don't have to.
You can't autopilot.
He would still be able to V reversal though to make the flash knuckle lift.
That's true.
The only thing is you could perhaps hold it to try to mess with his timing.
Yeah. So he has to choose.
You
which
still
one he
can
does.
hold it with the V trigger activation.
Yeah.
Between the timings and not doing it, so
That's true.
the mind game kind of gives us all the same.
What is
nice.
Electric on block for Vega? Is it minus? Is it plus? What is it? I don't. Ooh, counter hit.
But doesn't get the finish.
Wait.
Whoa.
Oh, and now Indabio's not canceling it. Wait, is that the mind game? You just don't cancel it?
That sounded like it was +2 on block. For Vega. That's really good. Oh, that forward is risky.
Crush.
That's the crush counter though. Another one. Oh, okay. Silent K. Slice
Just
again.
a tip.
Overhead. Doesn't
Do
kill
another.
it.
Again.
What a way to go. Silent K.
GG's. Wow.
The exact rank 5,000th player in the world. That's really cool. Silent K takes it over Indabio. He's also in the top 6,000 or top 7,000.
Yeah.
We don't really talk about it much, but like, y'all realize that that's like really, really high ranked, right?
No.
Like, I just want to take a moment to put some respect on all the Grandmasters and all the Master Rank players, because you don't like. You earn that, you know?
It is a grind.
That is a grind, and it is impressive. Like, we're in an environment where we're gonna see Wolfgang, who's like in like the might be the double digits in rank, and kind of make nothing of it. But like, that's really impressive. So shout outs to all the people who completed that grind. Congratulations to Indabio, won for a good run today, made it to 4th place, and then
What's happening?
again, congratulations on the Master Rank round. But now we go to losers finals.
Woohoo.
Another first to 3 this time to decide who will move on into grand finals to face Chris CCH. Silent K looking to unseat Wolfgang and ensure that we will have a first-time Westside Smackdown champion. And ensure that this is the first time the Westside Smackdown champion is born on the west side of the U.S.
Yeah.
Wolfgang has their 3-peat still on the line.
Mm-hmm. This matchup is kind of weird, huh?
Yeah,
I don't even know. I don't really know much
I
about.
have zero in-player experience with this matchup that
Yeah.
I can recall. Maybe for the Diamond Series we've done it before, but I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Anytime I've ever played Blanca against Vega or Vega against Blanca. I've
No.
played those characters a bunch.
I hate playing as Vega, and I like playing as Blanca, but not that much. Like.
We've actually gotten both of these characters to Diamond.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. Both
I
times.
mean, yeah.
I like playing Vega.
I like
way more
playing-
than I was supposed to.
I like playing Blanca way more than Vega. Way more. Blanca's awesome. Especially his little reindeer outfit. Oh, trying to catch the V.
You should,
Yeah.
Okay, hunted down, but just not timing.
It was just a little too far out because there's a decent amount of pushback on that, on the electric and VT1. Elect.
Oh, the slide to try to catch the shot of Earth Charge. I like that idea, but Wolfgang was just a little out of range for Silent K to be able to follow through fully on it. And now with such low life,
You can't really get the V skill charge though, cause
nice, good slide. There it is. Overhead.
kill off.
Hey, remember how you knocked that Indabio out of the bracket? Would it be funny if that happened to you? Let's see.
Nice
There's a
roundhouse.
roundhouse there.
Yeah, that's what you gotta present an anti-air threat.
It's rarely seen, I think, at the highest level because a lot of times that anti is only available to Vega if he like sees the jump coming, and you don't get a lot of jumps.
Nice.
Fire.
What
Anti-air.
is happening?
That's definitely supposed to combo, but it didn't.
Okay.
Look at all that V trigger usage. Look at the screen.
So much
push.
meter has been used.
It's just V gauge. You get it back.
Yeah, and then there was an EX bar at the end, Eli.
Well, yeah, it's true.
Three
EX.
meters.
Oh, off the front. Now we get the EX. Right. Minus 10.
Yep.
Minus 10. Mash.
I wonder what that was. EX by Silent K. I wonder what that was supposed to be.
I don't know. Oh, that would have been cool. Look at Wolf. Oh, Wolfgang.
Hopping around.
What's going on here? Look at the trickeration. Wolfgang goes up 1-0. And yeah, I gave it with attack because I have had to watch these matches in slow-mo. I've seen some of y'all play frame by frame, so I know some of these setups now.
Some of them.
Well, look,
I'm
Wolfgang
still
is
gonna
not a
get
one-trick
hit.
pony. They got more than one setup.
I
But
know.
if nobody ever beats the front throw in the EX Blanca ball,
I'm gonna get hit every time.
then they're never gonna have to do anything different. You know, I am trying to encourage growth. So
Well, if it ever works, if
you do a setup like that,
if it works every time.
and we'll talk about it. It works every time, right? Nobody who's playing is beating it, so it works.
I don't know if I've ever seen anyone punish it. Actually, have you?
And again, I'm not saying I would have done it, but I know what could be done.
What's happening?
They're playing through it. Maybe it's just a
I hope it's just a viewer bug.
yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes the viewer bug is really weird too. I hate CFN viewer. Like, it's so annoying sometimes. Because then if it works, yeah, like it was better before. It felt like, I don't know.
Yeah. But again,
I guess
we'll
this
focus
is
on the
yeah,
match.
Street
I
Fighter.
don't know
Sorry,
about the connection.
sorry, my B.
Wolfgang, up a game.
Can I talk about like Blanca's back jump though? It's so cute the way he like kind of hops back. Like it's like I love Blanca. I like his animations a lot.
And how does that pertain to the action we just saw?
He did his EX ball into the EX up ball and it was really cute. It was good. It was good play, Eli. Very good play.
Very astute. Excellent analogy.
I'm an ultimate grandmaster. I can play the game. Sometimes. I digress.
That's a throw from Silent K. Doesn't V-shift that break. I don't think they expected Wolfgang to go for it. I didn't expect Wolfgang to go for it either. But Wolfgang trying to build some space aggressively here. Gets the activation. And now, the delay from Wolfgang there instead of going straight through, because I think the electricity would have gotten V-reversal, and I think that's what Silent K was looking for. Oh my gosh, these back throws. And now the stun going down, Wolfgang retreating to the middle of the screen, forcing Silent K to come back out into the neutral waters. Not gonna allow a back throw incident to develop. But Wolfgang has to be careful, losing up a little bit of ground here now, but this crouching heavy punch says that's just fine. Don't need too much space. Just enough to stretch out. A nice firm crouching heavy punch. Wolfgang up 2-0. Looking to book their trip to Grand Finals.
Yay.
As long as it's Blanca versus Luke, I ain't gonna. As long as it's Wolfgang's Blanca going up against Chris CH's Luke, I have no complaints.
It's gonna be Balrog.
Alright. Speaking of good air,
Hop. Alright.
Okay.
Wow, trades.
Trades you-
Oh, try to walk
Trades
under.
you don't see every day.
Yeah, try to V-skill away. What? Or try to backdash. What? What's that?
Yeah, no EX meter for the EX up auto follow up there.
Oh, the little stutter.
dash up counter,
Yeah, you can like hit the ground a little bit and then dash forward. I think it's gonna say.
Wolfgang now on match point. And you remember Indabio versus Wolfgang was very close. Indabio actually went up the game. You see how Styles can make fights. And Silent K was able to take it over Indabio 3-2, but here having a much harder time trying to pin Wolfgang down. You see Wolfgang able to move around a lot. Look at these, the trickiness of these setups. And it just reminds me of Street Fighter 4, the way they're just jumping all over. Who told y'all Blanca was slow in this game, by the way? Show them this match footage and tell me this character looks slow. This does not look like a slow character to me. The charged overhand plus range, that's the game.
Wow.
Into the EX command grab.
Wow, that was. What is that? +4?
At least.
Yeah.
Wolfgang.
All right.
Short word.
Blanco wins.
GG's. Thank you, Silent K, for playing.
Yep. They finished third place.
Third
so-
place is good. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
I think it's pretty
so
cool.
it's a very strong showing from Silent K. And I mean, look, whenever you come in third and your losses are to the people who finished first and second in whatever order, I mean, look at what you're getting. So, well, do we have to like change the time so we can force start that?
Yeah. Here, just
I
pop,
hate how that goes, but yeah.
hop down.
All right, so we're gonna get Chris CCH versus Wolfgang, grand finals. Chris CCH showing the Seth. Maybe we'll go with the Seth. Maybe we'll go with the Luke.
Alright.
I won't be pissed if it's Seth.
I want to see Honda.
What?
I'm kidding. I don't ever want to see Honda.
Why do people say things they just don't mean?
You think somebody would really do that on the internet and tell lies? Alright, so Chris is in winners. Wolfgang is in losers. Please wait.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the raid. Appreciate it.
GG's, thank you for entering.
Oh, we have Seth Mears.
Seth Mears?
This is how we're doing this. Okay.
This is okay. Seth Mears, let's go.
All hail our robot overlords. Non-binary tyrants.
My name is Seth.
My name is
Yo, they make me
Seth.
listen to it both times.
My name
Yes.
Yuki is somewhere
Ooh,
smiling.
that's
Oh
my that's my favorite outfit for Seth though. With
The Cyberpunk.
yeah, no, the sword.
Oh, the.
Yeah, that one.
I like the V skill one in this mirror matchup where it's become Big Seth. And you just punch somebody really hard.
Me too.
Funny.
Big Seth is.
All right, if we get a big Seth punch, I won't be too.
I like
too
that's
upset.
why I actually kind of miss Seth Mears because of the big punch. To be honest, I'm not even up front. Like I did like big punch.
You can keep the roundhouse safe. Now Chris CCH with
Set up.
CJ2 set up. Can't be reversal there. Oh, what? Maybe you can. Maybe you only eat a little bit, not the big.
I don't know.
Do I not know anything about this game? Do I just not know how to play it? Am I exposed for being lazy and not labbing out V-Trigger 2 as thoroughly as I should have?
Maybe. Didn't know there was a sword until now. Hey, it's dope. Like I love this outfit. They look so fucking sick. I actually kind of want to play some Seth. You know,
Big punch!
Let's go.
Big punch back. There we go. It's not safe on Blight. It's a very
no,
bad move.
Wait, yeah, I was like, no.
That
no
move
punch.
sucks.
Oh no.
It's a reversal.
Nice punish.
What do I not know about this V-Trigger?
Aurora.
All night this thing has sucked. What? Am I
don't-
bad? I'm bad.
I think no, that could have been punished. It just wasn't preemptive to put to before, and like
Well-
they didn't. They could have punished it.
Every time I did it, I got turned into a clip, so.
Me too. Wake up, axe kick.
I mean, don't hate it in a matchup where throws are really important. Nice counter hit confirm into the double 10 and combo. Well done by Chris CCH. Hey, we're going to see some optimization. We're not going to complain as much, right?
I want to see, yeah, if it's sick. I don't care who
Not
they
down,
play. If
not
it's
down
sick.
back.
I just don't want to see him mauling. You know, like that's what the Rose thing. It was just a mauling. Jesus fucking Christ.
Seth wins.
The Seths are laughing, and I am not laughing with them. They hate me, and I don't like them.
Oh shit! I closed that out.
There's two freaking potheads.
Beavis and Butthead just fucking.
Yeah. Jesus.
Round one. Fight.
What is happening?
It's Seth Mirrors, baby. Just kidding.
Everybody has lost it. Everybody has lost it. Sonic K was doing it with Indabio with the light kicks earlier.
No, those light kicks were clean though, Eli.
Well,
Don't
the
talk shit
difference?
about the light kick.
What's the difference? It's harassment with one button. We're seeing it over and over again. There's Chris snapping back into tournament form. You know, Chris might have to play in Capcom Cup in a few months.
He wouldn't even have. He is going to.
Is he? Is he gonna make it? Is that confirmed?
Why
It wasn't
wouldn't he?
100% confirmed.
Oh, it's not 100% confirmed.
Yeah, it's like school might get in the way.
Oh well, no. School just be like, no. Get a letter from Capcom to the professor.
I'm like the water boy's daddy. Fuck school. Take the money, don't be. Okay, big punch in the V trigger combo. Except if you get like 32nd at Capcom Cup, it's like $200. It's like not that much money, but
oh my god. I mean, you get to go to
what? Punish that hugely, please.
get a big punish.
Okay.
I want a good punish.
If the reset happens, that's not even safe. Oh.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Hey, you know what? As long as we're all having fun with it, I'm down, right? Oh, I thought that would reach.
I mean, that's the whole point of playing this game if you're having fun. Like, ooh.
What?
First?
Anti-air ball?
What's up, McFly? We had grand finals. Got a bunch of sets.
Big punch!
Big punches.
No Oki.
Oh my
Okay.
god,
All right.
Jesus!
Okay.
All right, we just
All right.
we're going into round.
Is
we're,
that it? Are we done?
We're going into game 2. No, we're not.
Are we
done.
are we
No,
are we
we're
done?
not.
I don't know. Like I feel like
We're not
Wolfgang
done.
is like, no, I won.
No, we're not done.
Wolfgang landed the big punch and said, nah, that's it.
Right? Jeez.
We got big
Jesus
Seth punch.
Christ.
We're out of here.
Jesus Christ.
Cut the cord. Call the tournament. Everybody go home. We seen the peak.
Raw big punch.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're going back to character select.
All right.
All right. So we got big punch. That's what this is all about. Alright. Somehow Chris CCH has won 4 games against Wolfgang where Blanca was not involved. Is this how the streak ends? I guess so.
I guess. I mean,
Maybe not. Who knows?
I mean, well, maybe we'll see Wolfgang Seth just overcome all odds and win all like 6 games
Could
straight.
win all $20.
All the $20. I mean, I'm really thankful for everyone who donated and contributed, like
Yeah.
for real though. But that's why we do winner take all until a certain amount though, cause ain't no way we split up $20 3 ways. I remember like getting like like
30%.
like $5 was.
30% of $15 is one of the most insulting
It's-
sentences you could ever say to yourself.
It just feels bad, man. I'm just like, man, I wish you didn't. I wish you would have just give it to the winner
You know what, I'll
at that
go buy-
point.
Nah, like I go buy some potato chips.
Right, like
But that would be salty with the chips.
Maturino like minimum like thing is like 5, so if you get like 250, you have to wait.
You gotta do it again.
Alright. Alright.
This is a really
Bad
cool
cradle.
outfit though. Like, this look for
Right?
Seth is-
And the
it's a
colors for
weird
both of them, they're matching. It's great.
demonic Napoleon Bonaparte look. Unfortunately. Oh, that's big damage too. Alright. Are we gonna get it here? No. The respect.
Alright, tournament point though.
See, look, Wolfgang didn't do EX Monkey Ball. See, I told y'all how to beat it, and now Wolfgang's like, well, I'm not gonna do it now.
Well, I mean,
Alright, match point here for Chris CCH. Looking to close out strong. Gets the V skill 2 punish off the Blanca Ball. That is one of the highlights of this matchup for Seth is that those Blanca balls are actually really, you can chase them down decently well. Although that one, Wolfgang was able to get away from it. That was reversal EX Hectonacre, so that was just safe, at least from that reprisal.
Reprisal? Oh shit.
Well,
Well,
whiff punish.
thank you, Rainbow Six. We really appreciate it for the direct contribution. So it's not 9, it's almost 50 bucks now. Jeez. Alright, y'all. Like,
Okay, y'all, the people,
Jeez.
the Slurpees and stuff now with another weekly. That has been a weekly contribution now.
Yeah.
Slurpees and stuff is donated
Slurpee.
$10 every week to this pot, and that is
To
a very,
this little weekly we have.
that is a very nice gesture.
Oh, minus what, 8 something? Nice
There's the
punish.
punish. So that's weird spacing.
You know, thank
Those
you
were both
guys.
reversal Hectonacres. Okay. See, that is so much more interesting to me than like the Seth mirror match we had. It's like, why did the reversal EX Hectonacres punish there, but it didn't punish the last one?
Counter hit confirm.
Okay.
That's not gonna
Saving
kill.
the area, saving the area. But,
So
never mind.
throw will kill.
Throw will
though.
kill now. Yeah.
Nice,
the
that was
V-trigger.
sick.
That V-trigger has such a good.
It has really
hitbox.
good utility, and yeah, and like anti-airing things are just disrupting like hitboxes. It's weird. It's a weird fucking move. Wolfgang uses it pretty effectively.
Alright, are they gonna bust out?
No, they're gonna get hit.
Okay.
Like I want to get hit. I was like, I'm getting hit here. So like, no, like nobody's
Well,
blocking here. Nobody.
I wasn't blocking either. I was gonna choose.
I was mashing D shift if I had it. That's what I would do. Just
I do not
get me outta
require
here.
data on feral
Alright, that's the
creatures.
tournament, right?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, congrats to Chris.
CCH does
Thank
it.
you.
He breaks the streak. He wins Westside Smackdown number 3.
Thank you all for
you
being
know what?
here, enjoying this with us.
And you know what? Grand Finals be damned.
It was fun.
it
I
is-
had a great time tonight.
I'm glad y'all had fun.
I had a great time tonight. I hope y'all had a great time.
I hated every second of that mirror. That goofy ass laughing will echo in my mind rent free in a way I don't like. But I will say that it is an honor to be able to host, you know, Capcom Club qualifiers and world class players like Wolfgang and Chris CCH. It is an honor to host grinders like Indabio and Scythe, longtime players like Silent K, and you know, players who I would have never seen play consistently like Tonic Miner, Saturn Bars, and folks like that. And you know, shout outs to Coach Cream and those folks who enter every week. It is really cool to be able to host something and that y'all have choosing to show up week in and week out.
Yeah,
So,
we're gonna try to do this every week. We're taking a break next week because
Yep.
I want a break because it's the holiday. I want next week to I want to eat cookies and lay around, you know, all week.
taking a New Year's
So
break. Basically,
yeah,
but
basically until the January 4th.
we will be back. Westside Smackdown number 4, Wednesday, January 4th.
But yeah, thank you guys for being a part of like
The process.
the community, you know. Like I appreciate you guys a lot. Congrats again to Chris. Thank you again to anyone who did the little code thingies or whatever, or had direct contributions, or like just lurked,
Shout outs to all y'all.
whatever.
For
The lurkers, shout out to the lurkers. I appreciate y'all.
Alright, we're gonna get out of here. I want to eat again.
I'm hungry too.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas,
All that
Kwanzaa,
stuff.
Happy Hanukkah, and everything. So we appreciate you all. We will see you
Yeah.
for Westside Smackdown number 4 in 2 weeks.
Well, I'll be streaming on and off, but yeah, like be safe. Hope you all have really good times in these coming weeks. Like happy holidays and all that.
And if you don't have anybody for these holidays, because not everybody does, we got a Discord that's open. Come through, say what's up. Always welcome to just say something, even if you just need to say, hey. It's all good. We love you, and we'll see you all next time.
All right, love y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.